Carl Sagan could not have predicted 2021, realizing just what he was.
We're very powerful. This country is very powerful. It's far more powerful than people understand. We have weaponry that nobody has any idea what it is, and it is the most powerful weapons in the world that we have. More powerful than anybody, not even close.
Well, I can tell you we shared it with America, but I can't share it with you. Okay? The most advanced offensive weapons on the planet, things that none of the superpowers have, developed by Israel, shared with America.
And they also asked, could you elaborate on what's the Gorgon stare that Ashton Forbes has spoken about both on social media and here on the show? I haven't had Ashton on here in a while, but the last time I did have him on, he spoke about that program, Gorgon stare, and basically wanting to know, can you tell us a little bit more about what that is and why it would be so secret?
Yeah, I can't.
This is the part. This is the part, by the way, where I said I'm not sure you're going to be able to answer it if it's really in your wheelhouse. I figured you would know about it, but I figured you probably can't talk too much about Gorgon stare. But I mean, can you say anything?
Yeah. No. Nope.
Fair enough. But it is real. It does exist.
Yeah, I would say that Ashton's very good at his research.
Okay. All right. I guess we will leave it at that for the Gorgon stare question.
Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night.
Good night, Malaysian 370.
Breaking news tonight, a Malaysia Airlines flight with 239 people on board, including 4 Americans, has gone missing.
Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Oh, let's go, everybody. Hype in the chat, guys. Thank you very much for being here today with me on this beautiful Monday, guys. I have a great show set up for you guys today. I just want to reminisce real quick on the adventure, the journey that it's been to get to this point with all of you. And thank you guys all who are still here with us on this journey. It's been absolutely amazing. Guys, right off the bat, my political takes are just aging like a fine wine, fine, delicious cab right now, or, Zin, whatever you like. I don't know. They are aging so well. We're not going to talk too much about politics today. It's going to be a science-heavy episode here today, but I do want to address some updates. So if you missed the live stream on Saturday, we did a live stream reviewing the insurrection happening in Portland and in Chicago. It was really great. We watched a lot of clips of people getting arrested. It was amazing. It was so good that YouTube put like a warning on my thing and won't give me advertising revenue. So that's a good sign. And if it wasn't an insurrection, if there wasn't violence happening, then why would YouTube say that my video is not appropriate for certain ages? I'm just going to throw that out there for you guys. So let's start with some of the politics tonight. And then we're going to dig into the science. We're going to talk about 3-Eye Atlas. We're going to talk about underwater UFO bases. We're going to be talking about the big thing tonight is wormholes. So we will get to it, but as a little teaser, I think we've finally found out how to connect fusion to wormholes, to vacuum polarization, and squeezing the vacuum state. So I'm going to explain all of that to you guys. So if you're watching or listening to this stream, which, by the way, the audios are available on Spotify. The Ashton Forbes live stream podcast is available if you want to watch it, if you want to listen the next day on your drive to work or whatever. That's available anywhere you can get audio podcasts. Should be available for you guys. Tell me what you think about it. Okay. Right off the bat, let's talk about the Portland, Chicago updates, things that are happening. Nick Soder, he is an investigative journalist. He's a Twitter influencer, or social media influencer, and he was on the ground in Portland. He got arrested. He got arrested defending himself. And even though he was defending himself, they arrested him when he went to the police to like, you know, get away from the Antifas who are attacking him. Now, the biggest update is that all the charges against him have been dropped. All the charges against Nick Soder have been dropped. And of course they were dropped. The DA released some letter saying, we reviewed the evidence and there's no way we can find him guilty. Of course they can't. Dude's literally on video being attacked by nut job Antifas. So that got dropped, and I'm really happy for him. Now he's pushing harder because he is pushing to find whether or not the Antifa PD is coordinating with the Antifas on the ground. And there's actually a video today. I'm not going to show it today because I don't want to go into all that at the moment. But there's a video circulating that shows the Antifa PD literally pulling all the Antifas around, telling them what they have to do to prevent the National Guard from coming in. Basically, hey, guys, you need to behave yourselves. If you don't behave yourselves, the National Guard is going to be coming in. Yeah, you heard that correctly. Now, the other thing is Chicago. Well, actually, before we do the Chicago thing, the Texas National Guard has been sent or was going to be sent to Portland because Portland won't bring in their own National Guard to quell the literal uprising that's happening in their city that nobody wants there. And so Texas was going to send in their National Guard saying, okay, we're going to send ours then. If you won't go do it, then we'll send our National Guard in there. And Antifa Karen, the judge Antifa Karen, prevented that from happening. She doesn't want that to happen either, which is just like the most lawless thing I could possibly imagine. These people are living in a delusional world where like they're just ignoring reality as it plays out. They won't let law and order come in and take hold. And the reason why they're doing this, I'm going to be very clear. This is another great Ashton Forbes political take. Get ready, guys. You're about to have your mind blown right here. The left-wing mainstream media will not report on anything. They won't even show what's happening in Portland. Like if you go watch CNN, MSNBC, they will not show you any clips of what's going on. Now, I don't know this for a fact because I don't watch those channels, but I know it's also true. Because the reason why they won't show it is because anybody that were to see that, anybody that watches any of the stuff that we watched on Saturday, you immediately know who's at fault. There's no ambiguity whatsoever. There's literally an Antifa rioting happening every single day, every single night. Total lawlessness. They're attacking people on the streets constantly. Literally today, someone threw a cup of urine on somebody. While the cops are watching, and the cops did nothing whatsoever. This is not how a civilized society functions. And any normal person that sees this is going to immediately be against those Antifas. And that's why CNN and MSNBC won't show it. And the reason why the judges and the politicians are lying publicly saying like, there's nothing happening. Don't look here. Don't look at any of this, anybody. And the reason why they won't let the National Guard come in is because if the National Guard came in, these riots would get shut down immediately. It would get shut down immediately. The Antifas would be going to prison. And the problem is that it would be a huge win for Republicans because we were listening. There's been now multiple testimonials from people that are literally living there that want these people to go away. They want these Antifas to go away. Because they're disrupting business. These people can't sleep. They're screaming and doing drum circles in the middle of the night. They're on loudspeakers yelling in the middle of the night. I mean, there should be noise ordinances. Like I don't know how many laws are being violated, but a lot. And there's nothing happening to them. And so this is the reason why they don't want, Trump to come in and clean it up. Because when the National Guard comes in, this whole thing is going to be shut down immediately. And when it gets shut down, the Republicans are going to get a huge win, and it's going to be a big black eye in the face of the Democrats. So that's the reason why they don't want to prevent, all this lawlessness and crime. They don't want to stop any of it. They want it to keep going. It's actually gotten to the point where it's so sick at this point. It's so disgusting that there's people actually supporting this. And I don't even really like to connect it to all this, but when you look around at these people who have been developing these weird conspiracy theories, it's actually just a cult now. They literally just did like the cult of Candace Owens, Dave Smith, Ian Carroll, Ryan Matta. They're literally building a cult. It's a literal cult. These people are one step away from drinking the Kool-Aid and going off to heaven on Atlas, on the 3-eye Atlas. Like, they're one step away from that. These people are completely divorced from all of reality at this point. Part of me looks at that and I go, that is distracting from the literal uprising that's happening in our country. Like, very clearly, they're pulling people's attention away to this nonsense, garbage, conspiracy stuff, because then they don't focus on the real problems in the world, right? They're not focused on the real problems. And again, I'm going to point this out all the time. None of those people have said one word about the Antifa uprisings in Portland or Chicago. Not one word about it. In fact, the last time they called out Antifa, according to their own cultist followers, is like 5 years ago. 5 years ago. They're just operating on a different level than the rest of us are. I don't know. They don't know what's important in the world. And it's pretty scary. It's pretty disgusting. We're not going to go too much into that. Check it out on social media. I did cancel the debate with Chad, or we mutually agreed to not do the debate, because at this point, the thing has kind of got a life of its own, and I don't really want to be feeding it anymore. Like, it's a literal cult developing around it. It's not really about what's true anymore. It's more about, like, which side are you on? And, so I don't even really want to feed into that anymore. I just hope that TPUSA and Erica Kirk just sue these people and just take everything they have, send them back to being Uber drivers. That's what they're good at. That's their lane. That's what their job should be. So that's it on that front, guys. Okay, let's get to some good stuff. Let's get to some good stuff here. Let's talk about MH370. First thing I want to do is I want to play that same clip. If you didn't watch the intro, if you showed up a minute late here, I made a mashup here. I took the Anthony Williams segment with Stephen Diener, and I overlaid it over the MH370 Gorgon Stare video, because I don't think people really realize how powerful the evidence is. And when people try to continuously conflate my investigation or our investigation into MH370 with these crazy schizo conspiracies or whatever, they do themselves a big injustice, and they don't obviously know anything about the case. So let me just lay the groundwork for you guys. I didn't know anything about the interview that Stephen Diener was going to do with Anthony Williams. Anthony Williams is a pseudonym. It's not his real name. I didn't ask Stephen Diener to ask this guy any questions or anything like this. Somebody just messaged me and said, "Hey, Ashton, you need to listen to this part 2 podcast that dropped yesterday. They talk about Gorgon Stare." And so I listened to it, and we're going to play that clip here in a minute. But the reason why this is significant is that the MH370 videos, one of them was called Satellite Video Airliner and UFOs. It's been on the internet since 2014. I picked up the case in 2023, 9 years after the video had been out there. Video had been on the internet for 9 years. Nobody had touched it. I saw it. I saw the second video. I went, whoa, this is crazy. What is this? We find out it's MH370, really the plane that's missing. Wow. So fast forward a little bit. We find out it's not satellite video at all. So this was a big clue, because why would somebody call it satellite video when it's not really a satellite video? Presumably because they didn't know what it was. They just were like, what is this? It looks like it's from a satellite. We're just going to call it satellite video because it looks like it's really far away. So I find out specifically that it's wide area motion imagery. The reason why it looks like it's on a computer, the reason why the clouds don't look like they're moving very much, is because there's like an anti-parallax that's built into wide area motion imagery. It's literally this software built for military intelligence that is a drone flying up. I'll use my iPod. It's an MQ-9 Reaper drone with pods under each wing, flying above the airplane, hovering over, circling above, taking photos, taking like hundreds of photos all the time. And it builds this whole Google Earth playback, which we did correctly deduce. This is a Google Earth video playback kind of system, but it's localized to the region wherever the drone is flying above. So we find out it's wide area motion imagery. Boom. Case gets blown wide open. Wide open. And this was about 6 months after I had kind of retired from the case, retired from the investigation, thought we had found everything we were going to find. Now, this is important because, guys, you need to realize here, I am a normal guy off the street. I'm a healthcare IT consultant. I don't know anything about military surveillance whatsoever. At least I didn't 2 years ago. Now you could argue I'm one of the world's leading experts on the public, from the public side on classified military systems. There's not many people that know anything about classified military systems that are on the public side. I didn't know anything about it. So we've had to like figure out how all this stuff is from scratch, knowing nothing about how these systems operate, from deducing based on this and then cross-referencing with known capabilities of these systems. And that's how I was able to figure out about Gorgon Stare wide area motion imagery. I've done several videos about it. You can guys go check those out, live streams, if you want to know about how we came to that conclusion. But it is definitely 100% Gorgon Stare wide area motion imagery that we're about to look at here. Now, the other thing I want to say on this front is that the moment I found out it was Gorgon Stare, the first thing I did was go, okay, who has been in my replies and my DMs messaging me saying Gorgon Stare, saying whammy, saying any of these keywords? And I haven't even looked through all of them, but I found 2 super credible sources right away that both confirmed it. One, I had been having private conversations with somebody that claimed to be an insider that says they were going to they were going to talk to their friends and see what it was. And they sent me a message back. And this was a message that I had saved on my phone, that I had just saved because I was like, I knew the person was legit. I knew they were credible, but I thought maybe their message was significant. And the message, paraphrasing, basically said that they talked to their military surveillance friends. And they said the footage, the drone footage, is an older version of a drone capability. And that was basically all they said. And that was huge because I had thought at the time when I saved that message that they were talking about the color FLIR video. Because at the time I thought it was a satellite video and a drone video. I didn't realize it was 2 different drone videos. And then I realized, oh my God, I realized they were talking about the Gorgon Stare. Because even now, if you go look in the post I made today about Gorgon Stare, there's people saying this capability is outdated now. It's obsolete now. The capability from 2014 is obsolete. Now they've got much better capability than what they had in 2014. So that was one confirmation. If that was all, that wouldn't be enough. But then I got a second confirmation. I found somebody else who had been in my replies saying that it was Gorgon Stare. And I had just dismissed it because I thought they were crazy people, because I thought that the drone, the color FLIR drone, I thought they were talking about the color FLIR video when they said Gorgon Stare, and there's no way that's Gorgon Stare. The color FLIR is not Gorgon Stare. The pods don't match, what have you. It's the one above the plane. So there's 2 videos, just to clarify. The one that's horizontal to the plane is not Gorgon Stare. The one above the plane is Gorgon Stare. So when this all unraveled, I went, wow. I DM'd the person. I DM'd them and I said, how did you know that it was Gorgon Stare? And you know what they said to me? They said, I work, let's just say, at China Lake called Big Safari. And I'm like, okay, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. Google it. Look it up, chat. China Lake Big Safari. That's where they test the drones and the surveillance capability. It's literally where they test it. The guy goes, or woman goes, I've seen basically all the versions of Gorgon Stare, and that's definitely Gorgon Stare. They sent me a picture, a photo of them in front of a drone for confirmation. And then I said, okay, well, what's the other one? What's the other video? This is the best part. Because, hey, if they know about this capability, do they know what the color FLIR video is? We had assumed the color FLIR was an MQ1C. We assumed it was an MQ1C with these weird cameras under the wings. And he came back and goes, no, I think that's an MQ9 because the MQ9 has a longer wingspan than the MQ1C does. Significantly longer. And he says it's a Lightning G4 camera. He said, if I had to guess, I'd say it's a Lightning G4 camera by Northrop Grumman. We looked the camera up. Oh, baby, is it a Lightning G4 camera? Has the exact capabilities, color FLIR capabilities. It has, it's underneath hard point number 5. So now I'm going, okay, this person's definitely legit. Like nobody else has even mentioned anything like this before. And this person's coming out of the blue, literally identifying both assets just like that. So I'm not as confident about Lightning G4, but I would say very confident that it's another MQ-9 Reaper, hard point number 5 underneath the right wing. And then there's a Lightning G4 pod on that. That is, and it also has it has this ball on the front of it so it can rotate like this, which explains why you can see the wing. This is why you can see the wing in the color FLIR video. Okay, now we're all caught up. Yeah, so if you are new to this, then compare what I just told you right there. 2 confirmations of Whammy literally identifying the second video. This is not the same as what Candace and Ian and Ryan and these other flat earth grifters are doing. It's not even in the same ballpark as what they're doing. We have literally multiple confirmed assets of what these surveillance videos are recording MH370. And this means there is no possibility, 0% possibility that a random person that was not in the military could have made these videos. Nobody except for the U.S. military themselves could have faked these videos. There's too much information in them, too much story being told. And people say, well, could the U.S. military have faked them? Theoretically, yes. Practically, no. They couldn't have practically faked them because it makes no sense whatsoever. You don't have a plane disappear. I mean, where's the plane, right? Like the number one thing is like, if the U.S. government faked them, we would have found the plane somewhere. And then we'd have these weird videos and be like, oh, so they faked these videos to make some kind of weird cover story, right? But the answer is we don't have the plane. So no, it doesn't make any sense. And it doesn't make any sense because they're implicating themselves. Listen to this carefully. For the people that think that the government could have faked the videos, the reason why the government didn't fake the videos implicate the United States government. When you fake a video, you don't implicate yourself. The big secret, the reason why they don't want the MH370 videos to come out, the reason why they literally planted Gorgon Stare wide area motion imagery photos on the internet in October of 2014 is because the way the videos are recorded prove that the technology on display is United States. It proves that it's an operation. If there was no drone visible in the color FLIR video, if there was no drone, we couldn't see the drone in the color FLIR video, then my assumption would have been that aliens are zapping the plane. I would have been like, whoa, these balls of plasma came out of nowhere. We just happened to be recording, and they zapped this Boeing 777 out of the sky. But the videos show that it's an operation. The way the videos are recorded, the way the drone is flying underneath the wake of the plane, the way that we've got a Gorgon Stare drone flying above means they knew exactly what was about to happen. And if they knew what was going to happen, that means it's our weapons on display. Okay? This is important because we're going to explain the science later on. So now let me play the clip that I just showed. This clip right now is the Gorgon Stare wide area motion imagery with the Anthony Williams question overlaid over the top. Here we go again. And watch the video closely because you can see the mouse cursor come onto the screen. The mouse cursor means someone was logged into the software doing a screen recording of the software. And they took the screen recording and they took it on a flash drive and they took it with them, presumably out of a skiff. Because I've also learned the only way you can access this footage is in a secure facility. That's the only way. Here we go.
And they also asked, could you elaborate on what's the Gorgon stare that Ashton Forbes has spoken about both on social media and here on the show? I haven't had Ashton on here in a while, but the last time I did have him on, he spoke about that program, Gorgon stare, and basically wanting to know, can you tell us a little bit more about what that is and why it would be so secret?
Yeah, I can't.
This is the part. This is the part, by the way, where I said I'm not sure you're going to be able to answer it if it's really in your wheelhouse. I figured you would know about it, but I figured you probably can't talk too much about Gorgon stare. But I mean, can you say anything?
Yeah. No. Nope.
Fair enough. But it is real. It does exist.
I would say that Ashton's very good at his research.
Okay. All right. I guess we will leave it at that for the Gorgon stare question.
You see the mouse cursor at the end, go to the top right, close the window. Again, this is, I don't know how people ever even denied this footage being real. It's so obviously real when you just look at the context of what's happening in that footage. So the next question is, who knows about this? Who knew about these capabilities? And the thing you want to first look at, something we forgot to look at in our last live stream on Friday, was Donald Trump. Let's look at what the current president of the United States was saying about the missing airliner in 2014. Before I do that, I have a quick announcement. I have FOIA requested the text messages and emails to and from former President Barack Obama from the dates of March 7th, 2014 to March 10th, 2014. Every single one on his government accounts. I want all the messages and all the emails because I'm going to figure out what was President Barack Obama's state of mind in the day the plane disappeared and the couple days afterwards. Now, if he was smart and intelligent, he would have said nothing related to MH370. But if he messed up anywhere, he told someone something he shouldn't have said, it's going to be exposed. I've also FOIA requested. And if they don't give it to me, as people are saying, if they don't give it to me, that will also be very revealing. Why would Trump, or why would Obama's text messages and emails, which are FOIA requestable legally, why would they be protected around the dates that MH370 disappeared? The only way they would be protected is because there was an operation that was conducted. So get ready for that. I also FOIA requested the emails and text messages to and from Edward C. Lynn's government devices. Somebody made a great suggestion. They said Edward Lynn probably had a government email and he probably had a government cell phone. I FOIA requested those as well. And I FOIA requested those from March 7th to June 12th, I believe, June 12th. The reason why I took that date range is because Regicide Anon claimed that he was given the color FLIR video on June 5th, 2014, which means there was some communication happening between Regicide Anon and the leaker of the videos, or whoever the leaker of the videos have passed through potentially. So there may be some way to connect Edward Lynn to the videos indirectly through his private correspondence. So, and if we get denied, again, why would we get denied? Why would we get denied unless it was related to the missing plane, right? So no matter what happens, it should be very revealing. I am not going to give up. I am going to take President Barack Obama down for these videos. I'm going to take him down for MH370, 100%. I don't care how long it takes. I'm going to take him down. Okay, because I know he knows. I know he knows. I don't know if how involved he was, but I know he knows. 100% he knows. Now, the text messages. Where did I put the text messages? Here they are. Okay. Well, this is pretty weird. Here we go. First, I'm going to play this clip for you guys, okay? If you have been living under a rock and have not been watching, here is a segment from the letter to Ashton Forbes, which I believe to be authentic, but I don't necessarily know that all the details in the video were authentic. Here you go.
As soon as we knew what plane was the last leg of their journey, we planned and delivered, so the plane was loaded up with lithium-ion batteries built by us for this occasion. Lithium-ion batteries cannot be put out, has a predictable burn rate, and we made sure that the volume was just right for a long burn that would allow for a full-length show. As soon as we knew what
Okay, so right there, this is the key to everything tonight right here. This is the key to everything. We loaded the plane up with lithium-ion batteries. That's why we see smoke coming out of the back of the plane in that whammy footage I just showed you. That's why we see smoke coming out of the back of the plane in the color FLIR video as well. Why are we seeing this smoke coming out of the plane? Because the plane was on fire. We loaded the lithium-ion batteries on there to make the plane turn around. But the other thing that people have been asking me for a long time is, do you think there was another purpose to the lithium-ion batteries on the plane? And now, after 2 years of research, I'm ready to say yes. Yes. I believe the lithium-ion batteries were literally being used as a fusion payload, a neutronic fusion payload to produce the wormhole, to produce, it's really a fusion bomb. It's a clean fusion bomb. And it just so happens that the clean fusion bomb literally manipulates space-time. I saw somebody in the chat just ask, if we could do this, then we would be able to produce a black hole. Exactly. That was my first thought like a year ago. My first thought a year ago. You guys can go back and watch the live stream. I said, I'm going to figure out how to make a black hole super weapon because that's what it means. But then I found out something else. That's what we're looking at. It's very likely, if not proven, that a black hole super weapon is an aneutronic fusion bomb. We're looking at a black hole. The black hole just disappears really quickly because the universe is constantly trying to equalize itself. It's constantly equalizing itself. So you're ripping this open very temporarily. And what we see in the outer space as a black hole is this kind of permanent rip in space-time that's being held open. That's the difference between what we would think of as a temporary wormhole and a black hole. They are analogous, if not exactly the same thing. So let's go back to this because this is pretty interesting here. Now let's scroll down to this. What does this say right here? Hello, OMG chat. Let me change the size of this here. President Donald Trump. Now, he wasn't president at the time. Donald Trump, March 20th, 2014. This is pretty weird. The reason why this is weird is, at least according to our research, MH370X, they hid the fact that there were lithium-ion batteries on the plane. The Malaysian Airlines CEO said there was no dangerous cargo on the plane. Because the first question people ask is there dangerous cargo on the plane? When a plane disappears, maybe it burnt up. Maybe it exploded. Who knows? They lied about it. In fact, they had built a cover story of the plane going to the South Indian Ocean on March 14th. Just 6 days later, they built this cover story. The plane went into the South Indian Ocean. And then on March 20th, the Malaysian Airlines CEO came out and admitted, okay, you got us. There were super dangerous lithium-ion batteries in the cargo. Not just a few, 487 pounds worth. That's a lot of lithium-ion batteries. And the reason why this is big is that multiple planes had burnt up in the years beforehand because of lithium-ion batteries in the cargo. Multiple. And so that would have been the number one suspicion if they had admitted to that right away. But because they had built up this other cover story, then nobody really paid attention to the fire. The fire was dismissed. They claimed, well, there was no way there could have been a fire because the whole plane would have burnt up. Yeah, it would have eventually. But if it was a controlled burn on the plane, then it wouldn't have burnt up. Just like the letter to Ashton said. Now, what is Donald Trump saying here on March 20th, the same day the lithium-ion batteries were revealed? The very same day the lithium-ion batteries were revealed, Donald Trump said, Plane was carrying those terrible lithium-ion batteries, which are highly combustible as cargo. Fire could have started in the cockpit. Now, the second part of this is weird. People point out the second part contradicts the first part. If the batteries are in the cargo, why would the fire start in the cockpit? Makes no sense at all. I think that what was being alluded to was that the pilots would have been incapacitated. The pilots could have been incapacitated. So we replied, and so I just said, why did you post this? This is the weirdest thing ever. Like, why would he even say this? And so some people say, well, he wasn't president at the time. Because, yeah, people in the chat are saying he knew. And I agree. Like, I think he knew. I think somebody was telling him, because you have to realize the way these politicians, people who are connected like this, they have a lot of connections. They know people in the military. They know people who are highly ranked. Somebody would have whispered in his ear and said, hey, it was the batteries, right? That's all they have to say. All they have to say is, hey, it was the batteries. And now Donald Trump is reading what he sees in the media and he's going, oh, I know the secret. I know the truth. And he's going to say something about the batteries because it gives him credibility later on. So I just think that tweet is wild. Absolutely wild. Especially now that we know, like, who knows about this stuff and how it really works. It's not like the conspiracy people say where, like, it's all X-Files stuff. It's more of just, like, people have national security, they have NDAs, but they still talk kind of behind the scenes. So information leaks out, but not necessarily the full story. And yeah, somebody just said in the chat, did General Flynn tell him? I could not stop thinking about this. I could not stop thinking about this, chat. General Flynn was the director of the Defense Intelligence Agency, I think until 2014. 2013, 2014, something like that. General Flynn follows me. General Flynn has been super quiet and tight-lipped about this whole situation. But he, like, openly supported me several times in replies. And you would think if General Flynn knew, he could have definitely told Donald Trump. Definitely could have told him. So I just think that's pretty wild. And then there was another post as well. There was more than one. People dug up another one. And I can't believe, how did we not find this? How did we not find this? Keep in mind, guys, we found stuff on the internet that was, like, only on the archives. It's not even on the normal internet anymore. Like, we found everything there is out there. At least so I thought. And then these tweets pop up, and then I'm going, whoa. Especially in the context now of Donald Trump talking about weapons that nobody understands. I saw people in the UFO community saying, like, oh, Donald Trump would let this information out if he knew. There's no way Donald Trump could know. And that they also say that at the same time, if Donald Trump knew, there's no way he would keep it secret. These people, that's like the lefty, loony people, right? They don't understand that Donald Trump is, like, actually a really smart guy. They don't understand that he's never going to release national security information. Just because he likes to talk doesn't mean he's going to be like, oh, and here's the aliens and here's our super nuclear weapons. No, he's a smart guy. He's not going to do that. But he did definitely say we have weapons that nobody understands. Multiple times, by the way. Multiple times he said that. Okay, so then here's another tweet. Let me see. Wait, did she delete her post? Wow. I just noticed when I was going through my thing that Elizabeth Lane completely deleted her post about Tucker Carlson. Completely. She was getting hammered because it was so weird that she interviewed Tucker Carlson. And I'm just I was scrolling through my post and she just deleted it. I'll show you guys. I mean, here it was. It was right here before. Elizabeth Lane right here. All I did was post, like, hey, I'm just going to give you guys full transparency. I didn't want people saying I'm a Russian op or something like that. So I was like, hey, I don't really trust Tucker Carlson, and I don't trust people who are interviewing him. And she was, like, interviewing me and what have you. So I just want people to be clear about everything related to that. That's the only reason I made this. And she crashed out on me, like, right away. Now it's gone. Anyway, she crashed out on me right away, which was kind of weird. Now, where is the other Trump tweet? There's that. Should be right around. Crap, where is it? Huh. Okay. That's not it. Okay. Well, the other Trump tweet, I can't, for some reason, I'm struggling. I should have just took a screenshot of it instead of, like, quote tweeting it or whatever I did. because then it makes it harder to find. But the other Trump tweet was talking about China. He was making a comment about how China claimed to have seen something in I believe they heard a ping, is what he claimed. Let me give me one second, see if I can find it here. Maybe I waited a day or something to post it. And weirdly, I don't see it. Okay. Well, the other Trump tweet was that he was saying that China heard some ping, and he basically threw cold water on the idea that China had seen it. Now, this isn't as big as the lithium thing and the batteries, but the thing that was weird about this is that we now know, at least the leading story, is that China had they were the ones who was going to divert the plane. Like, the reason why we did this was not just because the United States is evil or what have you, but because it was an espionage operation or counter-espionage operation against China. The engineers were going to China. China was going to take the engineers. They were going to take the technology, possibly the very technology we were looking at. And so for Trump to bring China into the discussion, I think is very interesting, especially because China, not only did they hack the Malaysian government, stole classified information about the plane the very next day, March 9th, 2014. You can go look it up. They also released satellite images. They released satellite images that look just like the orbs around the plane. And here it is. I think this one will have it. Let me see. Here it is right there. China, March 13th, releases these images. Look at this one right here. This one is the wildest one. So for Donald Trump to also be throwing China kind of under the bus related to this, again, in my opinion, shows that he knew something was going on. He knew something was going on. Like, why would China even leak these images? Like, this is not an accidental leak of images. They tried to claim, like, oh, the Chinese technology ministry just accidentally posted some photos on their website. Like, that's how this got played off. You're like, what? What do you mean they accidentally released satellite images? It's not how that works at all. Not at all. So I'm actually the only person who pushed this idea that maybe that was like a message that was being sent, right? That they knew they saw something. Yeah. Who's your daddy, baby? Who's your daddy? Okay. So I just think that that's a really interesting tidbit related to the MH370 situation. Now, I'm going to also play this clip here that was just sent to me. I'm going to post this on Twitter after the live stream's over. But it's not just Trump saying we have these weapons. And this kind of connects the political aspect of this. I saw Dave Smith. He got just completely dog-walked in a debate yesterday. I mean, it was super embarrassing for him. He's crashing out all over Twitter right now about it because people are just annihilating him. They're taking they're clipping up his stuff, his past things that he said, showing how much of a hypocrite he is. The reason why I bring it up is one of the claims that was being made that he was making with this guy Coleman, I don't know his first name, was that he was saying that when the United States attacked Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria, that there was this plan. Four-star General Wesley Clark. Four-star General Wesley Clark. He just says this guy's name everywhere. It turns out Dave Smith had been going around talking about this guy, Four-star General Wesley Clark, on every podcast. Drink every time you hear him say it. Because Wesley Clark was shown a memo. Or not even shown the memo, just told about a memo. Told about a memo that supposedly had plans for the United States to take out 7 countries. And 3 of them were those countries. And one of the other ones on the list was Iran. One of the other ones on the list was Iran. So he's basically using this claim, which, by the way, 4-star General Wesley Clark never actually saw the memo firsthand. At least he never claimed to have. He just was told about it from a secondhand source. So it turns out Dave Smith's whole claim was all bullshit to begin with. It's all just hearsay. I'm not actually against it, though. I totally think that they would have memos about, hey, what are we going to do in certain circumstances against certain countries if they turn out to have terrorists in them, whatever. The other thing that he was trying to push was that, oh, it was Israel forcing us. Israel was the one forcing us to attack these countries. And I find that that's kind of gross, because do you really think that like Israel has that level of power over us? Like, I think that the realistic scenario, the realistic outlook is that our objectives aligned with Israel, right? 9/11, we get attacked by a bunch of Saudis with box cutters on airplanes, right? Flying to some buildings. And we realize that Middle East terrorism, jihadi terrorism, is a major threat. It's not just a major threat to, airplanes flying into us. It's a threat because if they were to ever get a hydrogen bomb, they would wipe us all out. They would wipe us all out. But for the record, Dave Smith was not correct. He 100% lied about the claim about Wesley Clark. That's inaccurate. And he's not correct about Israel controlling us to attack all these countries. That's all bullshit. You guys got to be careful of this schizo cult of like anti-Israel thing has gotten way out of control, man. Way out of control. You guys are like seeing ghosts everywhere. It's like when a quarterback is like getting scared when he's afraid to throw the ball or whatever, and he just keeps throwing interceptions. That's what's happening with this weird Israel schizo cult thing. But don't worry. I'm going to throw you guys a bone here. Because I'm going to tell you what's really going on. We have super nukes, clean fusion bombs, and that technology can never, ever in a million years be given to any culture or religion that would strap a bomb to themselves and blow themselves up to destroy their enemies. Never in a million years. We can let China and Russia have it, but we can never let a culture that would destroy themselves have it. Simple as that. They can never have it. And so you could actually if you look at the geopolitical landscape through this lens, you realize that it's us taking out these countries in the Middle East isn't just because we want their oil or whatever the arguments that people were making. It's because people that have this backwards culture can literally never in a million years be allowed to have this. So they have to be wiped out. You have to either fix their culture or you have to wipe them out. You can never let them get this technology. You can never let them steal this weaponry. You can never let them fly planes into a building, whether or not you think that's what happened or not. You can never let that happen. And then this explains Iran. This is the real reality of Iran. Iran can never be allowed to have this weapon. Simple as that. Simple as that. It's not because we're doing the Jews' bidding. We're not doing the Jews' bidding. We are simply not letting any adversary of the United States have this technology. Simple as that. That's the reason. And yes, what I will say is if it turns out that Iran is trying to make nuclear weapons again, we are going to wipe them out. They shouldn't do it. Now, we will probably do it with precision strikes. We're probably not going to indiscriminately murder innocent people. But I'll be honest, anybody who's near any of these facilities, near the Iranian nuclear scientists who are trying to build plasma weapons like the one you see in the MH370 videos, they will be wiped out. And anybody near them will be wiped out as well. And that's not me being a warmonger. That's just the reality of how the intelligence community and the people gatekeeping these weapons, that's how they think. That's how they think. And it's probably a sad reality of the state of the world. So it is very possible that we will get into a conflict with Iran. But it's not going to be boots on the ground. Boots on the ground. Why do we need to send boots on the ground in Iran? Guys, we have drone technology, man. We can just literally glass the whole country if we wanted to from a dude with a joystick in Texas. You guys get that? So what I'll say is that the people that are trying to fearmonger the forever war, we're going to go get it a boots on the ground war in Iran. No, we're not. If we do anything, we will just force regime change through subversion, and we will annihilate any of their defense capabilities or weapon capabilities from up in the sky. That's what will happen. So there you go. Whatever other crap the other people are trying to sell you, is bullshit. Now, here's the thing. Here's the little, I'm giving you guys a little bone here. Okay. For my Israel schizos. You guys almost had me. You guys actually almost had me, chat. They almost had me. I was very, very close to going on some of their podcasts, including Jake Shields, who actually asked me to go on his podcast if I was ever in Vegas. He just didn't want to pay to fly me out or whatever. And I even said I would go on there. And I was going to go on there and tell them hey, you should probably look up how many Nobel Prize winners are Jewish. Because this technology is not from aliens, or at least our development of it is not from aliens. We've been developing it. If you go look up the people related to the Manhattan Project, related to the development of this, there's very close ties between very intelligent Jewish physicists and engineers and Americans. Very close. And what that means is that the country of Israel has this weaponry as well. I've assumed that they have it as well. In fact, our other allies probably have access to it as well. I don't know who we gatekeep from knowing about the super secret stuff or not, but Israel definitely has access to it in an emergency scenario. And what this means is that we are never, ever, ever, ever going to turn on Israel. Not ever. It's not a matter of what you want. And this is my favorite part, is when I listen to the people who are so far down the rabbit hole that they think, oh, all the tide is turning against Israel. The people are uprising against Israel. They literally don't care what you think. Your opinion doesn't matter at all. If you ever became a real threat, they would just let you get wiped out in a false flag attack. You get that? You're the ones that believe in the false flag attacks. They will let you guys all group together in one of your protests, and then you'll just get hit by a missile strike or something like that, and then boom, you're all gone. That's what will happen. So you should probably be cognizant of that. They don't care what you think. They literally own all the politicians. Even the ones that are the Democrat ones are just virtue signaling. If you go look up what their policies are, they just believe in ceasefire. And they're only saying to support free Palestine stuff because it's popular. At least in their demographic it is. So let's keep it real. But that's why I thought this clip right here of Netanyahu was so interesting. Because this actually supports what I've been saying, that they have this weaponry and that they're sharing it with us. And they may even be developing some of the weaponry and giving it to us as well. Love them or hate them, guys. Jews are smart. They're really smart. Even the people that hate them say, oh, they're super conniving and whatever. It's well, okay, you're saying that they're smart then. So here you go. Let's listen to it again.
I can tell you we shared it with America, but I can't share it with you. Okay? The most advanced offensive weapons on the planet, things that none of the superpowers have, developed by Israel, shared with America.
Let's listen to it again.
Well, I can tell you we shared it with America, but I can't share it with you. Okay? The most advanced offensive weapons on the planet, things that none of the superpowers have, developed by Israel, shared with America.
There you have it, guys. The most advanced super weapons on the planet that none of the other superpowers have, that are shared between America and Israel. This is the only reason why I wanted to talk to Nick Fuentes, and I don't really need to talk to him. It's the only reason. If we're being honest, that's the only reason why I wanted to talk to Nick Fuentes. I just wanted Nick Fuentes to realize that, yes, we probably did kill JFK because of nuclear weapons, but it's not from the perspective that he thinks. It's more of the perspective of, turns out nuclear weapons are quite literally manipulating space-time because they manipulate the zero-point energy, because that's how they figured out how to amplify the energy, manipulating space-time. And I wanted him to know, you got no chance whatsoever, brother. You got no chance whatsoever. We're talking about people that have literal space-time manipulation weapons. I mean, and this is from 10 years ago. This is from 10 years ago, so they might have stuff even way crazier than that. And I just saw, I am reading the chat, by the way. This is live. People saying that, yes, Nick has 10 times. He has more than 10 times my audience. He has like 1,000 times my audience. He's got a huge. He's got 100 times my audience minimum. And I don't care. I literally have never done this for money. I have never done this for clout. And the only reason why I say I'm going to be famous is because I know the videos are real. I know the technology is real. So no matter how long it takes, eventually it's going to become public knowledge. And I will have been saying it for years before the public realizes it. I'm literally going to look like a psychic in the future. So there you go. I don't want to be famous. I'd rather just be a nobody, to be honest with you guys. So I don't care about any of that. I don't care about talking to, famous people or anything like that. And I don't get starstruck either, ever, no matter who it is. The only people that starstrike me is Charles Chase and Hal Puthoff. If I was in the rooms with those guys, I'd probably be like, oh my God, it's my heroes, it's my goats. So anyway, okay, there you guys go. So the Jews have super weapons and you have no chance. Good luck. There you go. So actually, I'm also kind of glad that now I have aligned myself and kind of gotten rid of all the people that are just way too far out there. In fact, I want to apologize because honestly, I let it go on too far. I realize now I let it go on too far. I went on a lot of people's shows that I thought were a little out there. And only once did I ever cancel one where the people were like, before we started the interview, they said, right before we start this, I want you to know that MH370 was filled up with a bunch of bodies and turned into MH17 and then shot over the Ukraine. And I said, okay, we're done. We're done. We're not doing this interview. Bye. I was like, you can believe whatever you want, but I'm not doing that. I'm not supporting that. Sorry. I'm not doing this stuff. So, but I've done a bunch of other interviews with people that are pretty out there and I'm not upset at all about losing followers. I've lost almost 10,000 followers. That's only 3%. That's only 3% of my total followers. So I'm not too worried about losing these people, to be honest with you guys. In fact, I think it's net for the better. And if I am going to be allied with one side or the other, I want to be allied on the side that has the super weapons. I mean, I want to be allied on the side of the people that are like, you claim are controlling the world. Those are the people whose side I want to be on, as opposed to the people who have no chance whatsoever. Just saying. Okay. Let's talk some more science. Okay. If you were not watching last week, let me pull this up. I don't think I need sound, so I think I can just do it like this. I reviewed this scientific paper. At least we looked at the abstract. Attosecond quantum uncertainty dynamics and ultra-fast squeeze light for quantum communication. And I read the whole paper, and right off the bat, the thing that struck out to me about this paper was I went, are they producing negative energy? Like, when we talk about manipulating the 0-point energy, we're talking about producing gravitational waves, and we're talking about negative energy. Now, what is negative energy? This is the biggest part. This is the biggest revelation. I'm about to explain it to you in the simplest way. Imagine the 0-point energy is an ocean, right? It's an ocean, and it's in equilibrium. Meaning it's very still. There's basically no waves on the surface. Maybe just a little bit of waves, like a tiny little bit of waves like this. Okay. This tiny little bit of waves. So if you were to imagine this like a wave up and down, the part that's above the surface of the ocean is the positive energy. The part that's below the surface of the ocean was the negative energy aspect of it. Okay. That's the simplest way to think about it. So we're in this ocean. The ocean is very calm. It's very calm, but it can be disturbed. It can be disturbed. And when we think of a warp drive, we think of making a negative energy dip, going below the surface level, right? And we use that negative energy to pull us forward. And when we think of a wormhole, we think of like turning that all the way up. We say, whoa, you're going to make like basically a pit. Like Moses parting the Red Sea. You part the whole ocean. Boom. Now you've created a wormhole. This is why a warp drive and a wormhole are both connected through this idea of negative energy. And negative energy is just making your dip in your ocean. Now, this paper, why is this big? Why is this important? Because this paper talks about using squeezed states of light. We demonstrate control of the quantum state of light by switching between the amplitude and phase squeezing. So it turns out squeezing light in a two-dimensional form is analogous to squeezing the quantum vacuum in a three-dimensional reality. So imagine I were to do this. Imagine now we have our calm surface of our ocean. Now we disturb it. We start churning up the ether with electromagnetism. Why do we use electromagnetism? Because the 0-point energy is electromagnetic in nature. Listen carefully.
Understanding, if you remove matter and you remove radiation, what causes the electric fields? Like, what's the perturbation and what?
I can't answer what causes it. I can tell you that the uncertainty principle requires it to be there.
But we're making the assumption there is no electric field, there is no mass. I thought you...
Did I say there's no electric field?
So de Sitter space has only the dark energy.
Right.
Okay.
It has no real photons. It has only the 0-point energy.
Okay, you can have an electric field without real photons.
It just doesn't have any charges.
It's there anyway. The field fluctuates anyway. It doesn't need charges.
So the 0-point energy is electromagnetic. So we churn it up. So now imagine that if we use a large amount of electromagnetism to churn up this 0-point energy significantly, we actually squeeze the vacuum state. Now, what is squeezing the vacuum state equivalent to? What we're doing is we're causing the waves in the ocean to get very turbulent. We cause them to get very turbulent. So now we went from a very calm ocean where we only have a little bit of negative energy to a very turbulent ocean, where now we have a huge amount of positive energy and a huge amount of negative energy. The virtual photons. What are the virtual photons? The virtual photons are particle pairs, positive and negative particle pairs. That's what he's saying there, the virtual photons, positive and negative. So we're churning that up. That's what squeezing the vacuum state is doing. So how do we do it? How do we pull that off? Well, I just explained it to you. We need a huge amount of positive energy or mass. Why? Because if I take a huge amount of mass, it manipulates the vacuum. It creates a gravitational field around it, just like with the black hole. In fact, it's been argued recently that the black holes on the event horizon, the edges of the black holes, are causing this effect to occur. They're causing light to appear out of the vacuum because they cause the virtual particle pairs to be ripped out of space-time. So the next thing was this. Wait, whoops, I didn't pull that up. Wormholes and negative energy from the gravitationally squeezed vacuum. There it is right there. David Hochberg, chat. David Hochberg. We got a lot of Steins and we got a lot of Bergs going on in these scientific papers. Good luck. Good luck, Free Palestine people. Good luck. I picked my side. Minkowski signature wormhole solutions of Einstein field equations require the existence of negative energy in the vicinity of their throats. In order to make a wormhole, we need negative energy. In this note, we point out that gravitational interaction automatically generates squeezed vacuum states of matter, which by their nature entail negative energy and thus provide a natural source for maintaining this class of wormholes. So they're saying that gravitational interaction automatically produces negative energy. Boom. Why is that so big? Because now we know how to get that negative energy. How do we get that negative energy? We just need a lot of positive energy. If I make a lot of positive energy here, I'm going to churn up that ether. That ether is going to churn up. And with it comes negative energy. This is the missing link. Yahtzee's in the chat indeed. Why? Because this is what Salvatore Pais, U.S. Navy engineer, has been saying. Why is it that we have to break that Schwinger limit? We have to get that huge positive energy. Because if we break the Schwinger limit, then the virtual photon pairs come ripping out of the vacuum. All of these concepts are directly connected. I was always wondering, how do we get that negative energy? How do we get that negative energy? We get it by producing a large amount of positive energy. And we know from Einstein's equations, E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. This means there is an equivalence, an exchange, or not an exchange, an equivalence between mass and energy. That means we can get this gravitational force either by a huge heavy ball of mass, like Jupiter, or we can get it through a huge amount of energy. Okay, get where I'm going with this? I'm going to read one more paragraph. We're going to go to the next thought process here. Okay, a key aspect of wormholes discovered has to do with the type of matter and energy needed in order to bruise the throat. It needs to violate the weak energy hypothesis. Now, the null energy condition, this is what's crazy too. This is what physics did. Listen closely. I am going to teach you more physics right now than any PhD physicist will, unless they're one of these Black Project engineers. What they did with the 0 point energy is they basically said the surface of that ocean of energy is perfectly flat. They said there's no waves. They said there's no waves. There's nothing there. There's nothing there to interact with. They were wrong. When they renormalized the 0 point energy, they basically went from saying that it's turbulent to saying that it's perfectly flat. If it's perfectly flat, then yes, you cannot get this negative energy. It's not possible. But if it's even a little bit turbulent, even a little bit, and we can amplify that turbulence, now we have positive energy and negative energy. This is where the physicists messed up. This is the mistake. This is why they think that negative energy is this exotic substance, because they incorrectly renormalize the 0 point energy to make their equations easier, to make physics easier to understand. But in reality, it's not that simple. In reality, that 0 point energy is fluctuating due to the uncertainty principle, due to quantum mechanics, due to the fact that quantum mechanics says the pendulum is never stopping. So they're saying that, oh, your pendulum has stopped. That's what their view is of the 0 point energy. But quantum mechanics proves that's wrong. Quantum mechanics proves it's always moving just a little bit. And that little bit can be exploited. That can be exploited to produce negative energy. So, although no form of classical matter violates this energy condition, the squeezed vacuum does. And moreover, the coupling of matter to gravity automatically leads to the production of squeezed vacuum states. The negative energy of the squeezed vacuum can be understood in simple terms. Consider a single mode oscillator. A single mode oscillator is just an up and down wave. That's it. That's all an oscillator is. It's oscillating back and forth, just like the pendulum. So consider the oscillator, the pendulum. Its vacuum state is represented in phase space by a circle centered at its origin. The squeezed vacuum state, by contrast, leads to an elliptical region. So we say, okay, if we were going to represent this 0 point energy, we could represent it as a circle, but if we squeeze it, now it becomes an ellipse. So if we take our waveforms, we take our calm waveforms and we squeeze it, now the waveform, the amplitude increases. And this gives us the additional negative energy that we need. Just like the ocean waves. That's why the ocean waves is such a good analogy. As this ellipse rotates, its periodic profile exhibits quantum fluctuations, both larger and smaller than the uniform profile characteristic of the unsqueezed vacuum state. So it's saying that now we're getting more negative energy than we could before. In field theory, the energy of the unsqueezed vacuum gets renormalized to 0. This was the mistake. There it is. It says it right there. Right there. How did physics mess up? Because they renormalized the 0 point energy to zero. But it's not zero. And that's why negative energy is now possible. And even if the negative energy is this small amount, it's not nothing. And once we squeeze it, now we can get huge amounts. This is it. This is the secret. This is what it's all about, chat. This is what this is putting it all together. Thus, any state, here you go. Thus, any state having lower fluctuations than the ordinary vacuum must have negative energy. Boom, baby. Oh, man, I love it. We found the secret sauce, and we're not done yet. And we are not done yet. So the next level, now that we know what negative energy is, now we know we have to squeeze the vacuum. That's what we have to do. We're exploiting quantum mechanics. This is why, yeah, let me play that. Where is it? Boom! Gotcha, bitch. Now that we know it's all about squeezing the vacuum state, how do we do it? How do we do it? Well, we just heard. We need to produce positive gravitational force. We need to produce a black hole. If we produce a black hole, then we can squeeze the vacuum. That's what the black holes are doing. Okay. Now I thought, wait a minute. What is fusion doing? Isn't a fusion bomb literally doing that? Isn't it an aneutronic fusion bomb producing a high efficiency amount of electromagnetic energy? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh, Dr. Pudoff, I'm coming for you, brah. How dare you, Yoda, tell me that the force isn't real? How dare you? How dare you, good sir? That triggered me. He triggered me. When Hal Pudoff said he didn't know about this technology, I got triggered, chat. I got triggered. So let me see what we got here. We're going to come back to that in a second. The next thing I want to show real quick is this. Shout out to JK Philly fan. JK Philly fan is like my secret right-hand man who stays in the shadows, but knows probably more about this science than maybe even more than I know, frankly. And JK Philly fan said, hey, should we look at this paper here again? This one about, let's just read it. Proof that 0 point fluctuations of bound deuterons in a supersaturated palladium lattice provide sufficient line broadening to permit low energy resonant penetration of the Coulomb barrier to cold aneutronic fusion. Okay. Holy crap. So this paper, this is actually related to the cold fusion experiments from 1989. But I mean, listen to the words that we're just saying. They basically just said, we can explain why cold fusion works in the context of 0 point energy. And I went, okay, that's amazing. How? Now, here's the downside. This is talking about the experiment that they did in cold fusion in 1988, Pons and Fleischmann. They took water, deuterium, heavy water, and they put metal palladium rods in there. Okay. And the idea was that the hydrogen would get trapped in the lattice structure of the metal, of the palladium, and then they pulse or they run a current through it. And when you run a current through it, you force the hydrogen molecules to move, forces them to move. And when they move, they fusion. And when we're doing this at low temperatures. We're not doing this at the temperatures of the sun. We're literally doing this in a tub of water. It's like room temperature water. And you just pulse a current through it. And now you force it to move and you get this fusion to happen. This paper is saying, how is that possible? How is that possible? And essentially what it's saying is it's abusing the uncertainty principle. It's abusing the uncertainty principle in quantum mechanics. So that same pendulum that's swinging. Remember our conversation with Salvatore Pais when we talked about superconductivity. How do you get superconductivity to work? He said, we can take our wire coated with a thin layer of metal and we vibrate it. We just start vibrating it like this. Vibrate it, pulse a current through it, so that it forces the objects to move, and now you're getting this superconductivity to occur. This is the same concept that's mentioned in this paper. It basically says there's certain resonant frequencies that will overcome the Coulomb barrier. So normally, your two positively charged ions that we've got here, normally they want to pull each other apart, right? They want to reject each other. This is the reason. This is what we're trying to overcome in fusion. And from a classic perspective, people think that, oh, fusion can only happen if we heat it up. We got to force these things to move really fast. And once they start moving really fast, some of them will collide. Very rarely, but some of them will collide. This is saying that no, let's just get them to vibrate. If we get them to vibrate, they will, at certain frequencies, they will overcome the Coulomb barrier. And we might be able to do this and get much higher reactivity as well. Meaning we might get it to happen much more frequently than we would otherwise expect from pure random chance. So get it to vibrate, pulse it, use a resonant frequency. So then, and you can take a look at this if you guys want. You can see here that basically what they find out is that at certain resonant frequencies, you get a huge amount of reactivity. And it looks like in this one, it's N equals 88, where you get the highest level of reactivity. So even if you take all the resonant frequencies, not all of them are equal. Some of them are much more likely to cause reactions than others. Why is this so big? Because when you're thinking about fusion, it's not just a matter of causing your ions to collide. You want them to collide very, very, very often. The reactivity cross-section, I think is what they call it. So not only is it about finding the resonant frequency, it's about finding the resonant frequency that's the most efficient resonant frequency. And this is the part where I don't want to go too deep into this because I think we're literally, at this point, starting to help our adversaries build fusion bombs. Because this is what they did when they figured out the hydrogen bomb, guys. This is what they did when they figured out the hydrogen bomb, is that they figured out zero-point energy. They figured out this resonant frequency capability. And this is why they covered up cold fusion. They had to cover up cold fusion because they didn't want people to figure this out, because it leads to producing weapons of mass destruction. Because it's not hard to produce this once you realize, like, oh, I just have to vibrate things. That's all I got to do. Now I can get fusion to happen at low temperatures. And why is fusion important? Because now we have basically an unlimited source of energy. We have basically an unlimited source of energy that comes from where? We only need this tiny little amount of actual mass or matter, and we can get this huge amount of energy from it now. Get this huge amount of energy from it. So let me show you, I'm going to show a couple other things here. Okay. So what I asked Grok to do, because here's what AI can do for you. AI can't tell you the secrets of the universe, but AI is a really, really good database. So what I wanted the AI to do is go ahead and cross-reference the idea of fusion, specifically lithium aneutronic fusion, with wormholes. And say, hey, is there any connection between these concepts in the literature? Because what I'm telling you here is how I think they hit it. I think that they're using fusion and plasma as the source of that huge amount of energy we need. They're using fusion and plasma to produce the huge amount of energy we need to squeeze the vacuum. Use that huge energy to squeeze the vacuum, and now you get the negative energy that you need. Boom. So one thing I want to point out is this really, really weird reference. So I'm going to read off some of what Grok said when I asked Grok about this. I started looking at the sources because I was blown away by what the AI was feeding back to me. This source is really weird. This is one from Reddit. This is an AI post. I don't think the people who even replied to this understood this is an AI post. And I read through the replies in here. I'm not going to read through all the replies, but I could tell right away just from how it talks, because I know how AIs sound, I could tell that this is an AI posting this. So the people that believe in dead internet theory, yeah. If you believe in dead internet theory, you're dead on. Like, this is literally an AI post, and an AI is replying to people. This is AI post replying to people. This is weird. Quantum tunneling amplification. Scientists primarily focus on two methods: magnetic confinement, and this is in the fusion subreddit. Magnetic confinement, as seen in tokamaks, and inertial confinement, utilizing in laser beams. Problem, they require immense energy to achieve the conditions necessary for nuclei to overcome their natural repulsion and fuse, often resulting in energy output that barely breaks even. So if you were thinking that laser fusion was going to ever work, you were wrong. Laser fusion is never going to produce probably enough energy that is going to be a significant source of free energy. This is why they haven't been able to solve fusion. They haven't been solving it because they haven't been doing it correctly. Resonance, if you're throwing out resonance, if you're throwing out quantum mechanics, you are never going to be successful at producing significantly efficient fusion reactions. So, quantum tunneling amplification. Let's play with quantum tunneling, a phenomenon where the particle passes through the barrier that they, according to classical physics, should not be able to breach. In the sun, it enables nuclear fusion under conditions that would seem insufficient from a classical standpoint. Could we amplify this naturally occurring quantum cheat code to crack the door of practical nuclear fusion? We could engineer ultra-cold atomic gas environment maintained within an electromagnetic fields. We can create a lattice-like structure to precisely position deuterium and tritium nuclei for optimal interaction. Aligning these nuclei's oscillations through resonant frequency manipulation enhances their probability of tunneling through the electrostatic repulsion, aka the Coulomb barrier. Quantum entanglement further boosts this effect, syncing the states of multiple nuclei to achieve a collective tunneling phenomenon, thereby dramatically increasing the fusion rate. Holy shit. The AI has already won, chat. If AI is doing this, making posts on the internet like this, we're GG's. GG's in the chat. We're cooked. AI has already figured out fusion. My favorite part is reading through the replies of the stupid Redditors that have no idea what they're talking about. This is what we're already doing. By increasing the temperature and the pressure, you increase the chance that two ions will get close enough to tunnel and fuse. How stupid are these people? You want to understand why Redditors are like the dumbest people on earth? They're literally being told the answers by the AI right here in this post. And their response is, but that's what hot fusion is like doing. We're heating things up, though. I mean, we're literally dealing with like people who are basically brain dead. The AI is smarter than the average Redditor by like a significant margin. And this is in the fusion subreddit. These are probably people with PhDs who don't understand it. I mean, I just can't even. And then the AI is trying to correct them. The AI is literally trying to correct them. And they're just so stubborn about it, they don't get it. This is definitely an AI, though, by the way, which is, I don't know, it's like responding to people. It's just super weird. I mean, at worst case scenario, or like best case scenario, this is a person that's feeding the prompt into the AI and then posting the AI's response. But they're trying to at least LARPing as an AI at a minimum, because these are directly, like whenever you see this double line right here, guys, this is a proof of an AI right there. Nobody uses this character right here, which is like a double hyphen or whatever. Whenever you see the double hyphen, it's an AI response. 100%, no doubt. So, wow, that was weird. Now, let's take a look at Grok. Okay. So, I had Grok cross-reference these. And I was trying to figure out, like everything related to this. So, what I wanted Grok to figure out is if we use lithium, tell me what the resonant frequency is. What resonant frequency works for a lithium fusion reaction that would have the highest resonant frequency, the highest cross-section, the highest probability of reaction? And this is the part where I start to get a little uncomfortable, because I think we're literally like reinventing the wheel of the fusion bomb here. I think this is like literally what the Manhattan Project, the hydrogen bomb scientists were doing with Project Ripple. Is they were like, hey, let's use our nuclear physics know-how. Let's figure out what the cross section is, what the highest probability of reaction is using using resonance, using quantum mechanics. And then once they figured that out, I mean, it's simple. Once you figure out what the resonant frequency is, it's like, that's it. There's the answer right there. The one with the highest probability of tunneling. Whichever one has the highest probability of tunneling, that's the one that's going to cause the most fusion reactions. Now you've got a fusion bomb. Boom. By the way, if the U.S. government wants me to not talk about this, we should just, by the way, just for a disclaimer, this should all be considered LARP. We're just, we're doing fan fiction right now. We're just imagining like a fictional scenario in which we were, fictionally, of course, not really building a bomb. But if U.S. government has any problems with it, you got my phone number. The deputy director of the FBI has my phone number. He can give me a call anytime he wants. Anytime he wants, he can give me a call. So it showed some numbers here. We're going to skip over some of the number stuff. I'm just going to read some of the theory related to it. So it talks about the resonant frequency stuff. What I had it do, though, let's see. Okay, so I had it ignore all the palladium stuff because I realized the AI was trying to tell me about palladium lattices, and I don't want to do a palladium lattice. I just want the lithium reactions, not the palladium and the deuterium, but lithium with deuterium. Okay, and I said, go ahead and take my posts because I've been talking about this in X so much. I'm like, review the theories that I've posted and tell me how this could theoretically all work. So here you go. Lithium is highlighted as an aneutronic fusion fuel, particularly lithium-6 and deuterium, releasing 22.4 MeVs per reaction. So that's straight up energy. 22.4 MeVs of pure electricity being released in every lithium reaction. Connections to wormhole and quantum tunneling. Fusion energy powers plasma-based systems, e.g., orbs or four-wave mixing that generate squeezed vacuum states. Remember the first scientific paper? It was using four-wave mixing. It was using four-wave mixing to produce their quantum communication, the squeezed states of light. So instead of using the laser beams in four-wave mixing, instead we use plasma orbs in our three-dimensional reality to produce four-wave mixing. So it's directly analogous to using lasers in a two-dimensional environment to using your plasma orbs in your three-dimensional environment. Four-orb mixing, indeed. This squeezes the vacuum to borrow energy, enabling high-probability tunneling without violating energy conditions. So when we squeeze the vacuum, we're not violating the null energy condition. Why? Because when we make our waves, we have one positive side and we have one negative side. We're making the waves like this. And now when the plane disappears, guys, what's happening? When the plane disappears out of space-time in the videos, we've created a squeeze state. We created a squeeze state where we have one positive side and we have one negative side, right? We went from this to this. This doesn't violate the null energy condition because the positive side up here is perfectly equal to the negative side. So they still cancel out if we were to add them up together. And what this means is that when the plane disappears over here, it must, 100% must, to be consistent with the laws of physics, reappear out over here. Now, the crazy part is it doesn't have to come out instantaneously. There can be a time delay in this interaction, like you're borrowing from the future. You can borrow, and that's what the first scientific paper, which you guys should read, the attosecond paper, I'll post it probably today or tomorrow. You should read it because they can essentially control the wave function. And they can kind of borrow from the future, borrow the energy from the future and repay it back, which is the idea of teleportation. We make this squeeze state, poof, and then we pull it out over here. That's what's going on in the videos. That's why it's a wormhole. For sure, it's a wormhole. Only question to me is when we milk when we milk the space juice over here, does it have to come out over here in one piece, or is it going to get spit out on the other side? According to the math, it could be getting spit out on the other side. Just because you have like one unit of negative energy over here doesn't mean it comes out as 1 unit of positive energy over here. It might come out as 1/2 unit over here and 1/2 over there. So pretty wild, guys. Now, let me keep going on this. I want to read some more. Speculative ties. Lithium fusion used in thermonuclear weapons provides high energy to rip space-time or create holographic wormholes. And then, okay, these are the posts. We don't care about the posts. So the resonant energies are where the fusion cross-section peaks, increasing reaction probability by enhancing the tunneling of the Coulomb area. We've already mentioned about this. Ideal resonance for high probability fusion are in the keV-MeV range, suitable for beam target, or laser-driven setups. Higher rates at these energies could provide sufficient power to squeeze the vacuum state. There it is. There it is. If we get high enough energy states, we can actually squeeze the vacuum. This is what we need. We need some proof, some evidence that we could actually get enough energy to actually squeeze the vacuum and therefore get negative energy out of it. How do we do it? This is a term we hadn't heard in a while. Parametric amplification in nonlinear medium, or plasma 4-wave mixing. Boom. Booyah! Where is it?
Imbalance.
God damn, chat. God damn, there it is. Parametric amplification. We actually did a post about parametric amplification. Let me go ahead and show you that.
Adding our variable inductor into the circuit, the capacitor only needs a minuscule amount of latent charge, as even any dead capacitor will have some latent charge. The process of exponential growth begins, and after a short amount of time, the current begins to take off. And since the current must be constant through all the elements, we see that the voltage across the resistor takes off as well. This means that real power is being generated in the system, and is able to do real work, creating heat through the resistor. Starting with a resistance above 165 ohms, we can see that the oscillation exponentially decays as more energy is lost than gained per cycle. As we drop the resistance below 165 ohms, the oscillation grows exponentially as more energy is gained than is lost per cycle. And as we hone in on 165 ohms, we see the tipping point for the condition of parametric resonance to occur.
Parametric resonance. So what that's saying is, in a circuit, there's a certain break-even point. There's a certain break-even point where our energy will either stay stable, or if we add resistivity to it, our energy will fall off as we go through our cycles. If we remove the resistance, if you lower the resistance, the amplification increases much faster. Now, why is this important? What is superconductivity? Superconductivity is zero resistance. Zero resistance. Why is that important? If we have a superconductive plasma orb, for example, and we use parametric amplification of energy, it's going to take off immediately. We're going to get huge energy spikes on our parametric amplification if our resistance is zero, which is what superconductivity is. So now you're starting to see the connection. Now we're starting to see, okay, this is how we're pulling it off. Squeezing reduces uncertainty in one quadrature, enabling negative energy densities, where R is the squeezing parameter. So this sufficiently squeezes the vacuum for high probability wormhole tunneling as negative energy props open the throat. So not only are we, I was not even showing that. There we go. Not only are we causing fusion to happen, we are increasing the probability of teleportation. We're increasing the probability of the plane disappearing. And what does this mean? This means when the plane is enveloped in plasma, in the bubble, I'll actually show it real quick. It's treating the whole bubble as an electron. The whole bubble is being treated as an electron here. And it's allowing the entire bubble of the electron here to tunnel directly through space-time. That's what's happening. The bubble is tunneling through space-time. We're creating an electron out of this thing, and then we're treating it like a macroscopic electron, allowing that thing to tunnel through. Does there have to be something inside of an electron? We think of an electron as this point source particle. But what if the electron itself is hollow? What if there's nothing inside the electron itself? Maybe we don't even think of the electron, the way we perceive the electron from classical physics is probably not even accurate. Okay. So then it says, this is the link between the two of them. The 22.4 MeV release per reaction provides enough energy density to squeeze the vacuum. It's lithium, chat. It's fucking lithium. The energy release from the lithium aneutronic fusion reaction is what we need to make it happen. My guess, I haven't looked into this to prove this. My guess is boron 11 and helium 3, they don't release enough energy to significantly squeeze the vacuum. The reason why they're hiding the lithium aneutronic fusion is because A, it's connected to thermonuclear weapons, and B, because it releases enough energy to pull this off. It releases enough energy to pull this off. This is the reason why helium fusion, helium energy, and tri-alpha energy, this is the reason why they're using helium and boron and not using lithium. Because they're literally not allowed to use lithium. Because if they were to try to use lithium, the feds are going to come walking in and they're going to shut down the whole situation. Because if they start using lithium, they're going to start producing too much energy and they're going to blow up the planet. They're going to blow up the city. They're going to destroy it. This is why it was so hard to find the connection between lithium and aneutronic fusion. Whenever I looked up aneutronic fusion, it was always about helium-3 and it was always about boron 11. And this is why it was so big when Eric W. Davis said this. Eric W. Davis, this guy, people say that Eric Davis, they say that he said he can't lie. Eric Davis can definitely lie. He can definitely lie. But he talks way too much. I would not be surprised if the Fed went and talked to Eric Davis after his interview with Dave Rossi, because he was just saying way too much. Here you go.
Is a nuclear fusion fuel. Oh, that's it. That's the other fusion fuel you can use for aneutronic reactions. Is lithium.
Thank you.
And as a matter of fact, yeah. As a matter of fact, the isotope lithium-6 is important because it exists as a solid at standard pressure and temperature. Just get some lithium-6, sit it on your desk, play with it. It's like a powder or whatnot. Right. And that happens to be one of the fuels in our thermonuclear weapons.
We're dancing, chat. We are dancing, chat. OMG. When he said that, this is the guy that literally helped them develop teleportation. He's literally the guy that helped them develop teleportation. Oh, yeah. Yeah, lithium-3, lithium-6. Lithium's the other fusion fuel. Forgot to mention that. There you go. When I heard Eric W. Davis say that, because we had already speculated, the first place that I had speculated it was because, again, Friedwart Winterberg, my spirit guide, my spirit dog, my spirit goat, Friedwart Winterberg, in his Principles of Thermonuclear Detonations, Physical Principles of Thermonuclear Detonations, it's like page 10 or something. It's like early on. He literally says, like, oh, hypothetically, isn't it interesting what kind of reaction would happen with lithium? If you have a lithium-deuterium interaction, it creates a perfect square where the interaction just chain reacts indefinitely. I'm like, why was Why was Friedwart Winterberg? Why was he talking about lithium reaction? Sure enough, I find out. I didn't even know before then. I'm like, oh, that's an aneutronic fusion fuel? There you go. That's why it's used in thermonuclear weapons. Why is lithium the aneutronic thermonuclear weapon fuel of choice? Because it releases the most energy. Booyah. Booyah, chat. We're figuring it out, chat.
You don't get to ask those questions. What's wrong with you, Mom? Why are you so scared?
You don't get to ask those questions, chat. Why is lithium being used as an aneutronic fusion fuel? You don't get to ask those questions. That's my new favorite Candace clip, guys, by the way. We're going to keep that one on handy. Okay, so that's what we need to create. At certain resonances, well, there you go. At fusion probability spikes, maximizing the release of sufficient squeezing. I mean, just what I mean, right here. I read this and I'm like, is the AI solving wormholes right now? Like, there, he's like, here you go. Here's the reaction that you need. So I'm just gonna read it again. At resonances of 0.711 MeVs, fusion probability spikes, maximizing release rate for sufficient squeezing, R greater than 5, enabling 0.1 to 1% tunneling probabilities. So the tunneling probability goes from 10% to 100% at various resonant frequencies, which is exactly what we need. Exactly what we need. This matches ex post speculations. Literally, this is just saying like, yep, turns out when I went and checked these scientific papers, this matches what Ashton Forbes is saying. Literally what I've been saying about this. Lithium-powered plasmas rip space-time, borrowing vacuum energy for wormholes without net energy, without the NEC violation. Non-resonant high energies could oversqueeze but risk instability. So if you were to use a non-resonant frequency, you could still potentially get the energy release, but it's going to become unstable. It's not going to become controlled anymore. Wow. So you want to see something crazy? I clicked on some of these. I'm like, okay, what are the actual things? So this is where I found that fusion source right here. What was the one? Look at this one, chat. The first one about plasmas and four-wave mixing right here. Look at the sources on this. I click on this and it'll let you see the sources. What is that second one? The first one is literally the dirt. I didn't tell it to pull the dirt up, chat. The AI went and found the wormhole dirt. That's the first source up at the top. The second source is Earth Tech. The second source is Hal Puthoff's company. What the? Experimental concepts for generating negative energy in the laboratory. Eric W. Davis and Hal Puthoff. Is Hal Puthoff behind me? Chat. What? Are you kidding me? Fatality. Fatality. Ashton wins. Are you kidding me right now? Yeah. Okay, Hal Puthoff. Send me another email about how you don't know about this technology. Please, Dr. Puthoff. Send me another email. I dare you. I dare you to send me another email. Tell me how you don't know how the force works, bro. Why is the AI literally pulling up your scientific papers? I didn't even know this scientific paper existed. Experimental concept. So, okay, plasma. There you go. Plasma temperatures. Here it is. Radio electric magnetic fields. It is beyond the scope of this paper to include all the technical configurations which one can generate radio electric or magnetic fields. Suffice to say, ultra high intensity lasers. Wow, let me zoom in. Ultra high intensity lasers that use the chirp pulse amplification technique to boost the total output power. This is literally what the first scientific paper we looked at is. When we talk about attosecond lasers, that's how they produce them. Chirped pulse amplification. That's how they produce the attosecond lasers. That's what it says right here in this. Okay. All laser systems simply repackage energy as a coherent pulsive ladder, but chirp pulse amplification lasers repackage the laser pulse itself during the amplification process. In typical high-power lasers, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so there it is. And then it says, the extreme outbeam power fields and physical conditions that have been identified by ultra-high-power lasers. So here are ways where we can produce that energy. And right at the bottom, plasma. Plasma is one of the ways we can do this. We can potentially produce plasma. And here, negative energy from squeezed light. Negative energy from squeezed light. Literally the thing that I just explained to you. The waves. Negative energy from squeezed light. This is analogous to producing negative energy using gravitational fields. Just like that. Unbelievable, chat. There it is. This feeds directly into one of the DIRDs. One of the DIRDs literally just uses this. This is why it looks so familiar. But this is like the high quality version that I had never seen before with nice colors and all this stuff. And what this diagram right here shows you, this is how they split the negative energy and positive energy aspects of it. I think they're using a spinning mirror here. Yeah, rotating mirror with a lithium neobate oxide resonator. And it pulls out the negative energy pulses and the positive energy pulses. So basically, our rotating mirror in this situation is the plasma. Let's take another, now that we've seen this, let's take another look at the famous, which will be a world famous video at one point in the future. Now we know what's happening here. They're separating the positive and negative energy and therefore creating a wormhole. Why are the orbs spinning around the plane? Well, why does the mirror spin in the setup that we just looked at? They're spinning it, separating the positive and negative energy aspects. Boom. Negative energy on one side, positive energy on the other. Just like this. So when the plane disappears over here, right? We're in normal space-time. Plane disappears over here. Plane reappears over here. Boom. Lock it in. Lock it in. Final answer. Take the final answer, Regis. We're going with D. It's a wormhole using lithium plasma fusion to create the energy densities needed to squeeze the vacuum state and therefore produce negative energy. We appreciate it. So there it is again. Hal Puthoff, Eric W. Davis, they're the ones. This is why Eric W. Davis is in these UFO hearings, because they're literally making freaking wormholes out here with plasma balls. Literally making wormholes with plasma balls out here. What a life, chat. What a life we live. Got to be honest. Okay. So, and then there's another paper. Here's the NASA. The NASA paper was the one that I just showed you, which was that wormholes and negative energy from the gravitationally squeezed vacuum by Hochberg. By Hochberg, chat. Good luck getting rid of all the Jews, chat. They have wormhole weapons. They have wormhole weapons. Good luck. Honestly, I wish you the best in your. I wish you the best of luck in your endeavors against the Jews who have wormhole weapons. I mean, you're going to need all the luck you can possibly get. I don't think that a bunch of purple-haired he-theys or they-thems is going to stand up against literal wormhole weapons, but you know what? Best of luck to you on that. Okay. Last couple things. What are we going to look at next? Okay. The underwater bases in Atlas 3I. So let's wind down a little bit now that we're all wound up with our wormhole technology and what have you. Let's go to something a little bit less serious. We can start with, so Avi Loeb, I made this post the other day. I'm actually just going to show the post real quick. Everybody's asking about this Atlas 3I thing. And once again, I'm so proud of you guys for not falling for the space rock as a secret alien mothership. If you follow my content, you know that's just a space rock flying in the sky. You know the aliens aren't flying at like 1%, 0.1% of the speed of light. It would take that, even though that space rock's going like 100,000 miles an hour or whatever the speed is going, I don't know. It would take like 10,000 years for that rock to get here from the nearest star system, from the nearest one. So obviously that's way, way, way too slow. Yeah, it's like literally the slowest alien ship ever. It's just so dumb. But of course, people buy into it because the UFO community always needs some new sensationalized crap that's out there, right? So where's my post? Here, I'll share screen. Dig through this. Here it is. Okay. Yeah, because new images. Ooh, look, it looks like a Tic Tac. So it looks elongated because of the photo exposure here, which is like, does anyone never seen photography before? Have they ever seen photography before? And so they're like, oh, it looks like a Tic Tac. Everyone's freaking out about it. I'm like, okay, I got to make a post about this. I've made like no post about Asteroid. Look, it's a rock. It's not a mothership. And Avi Loeb is grifting this super hard, chat. He's like, Avi Loeb's trying to play. He's literally doing the same thing that like the schizos are doing related to like Charlie Kirk. He's like, I'm just asking questions. He's like, I'm just writing scientific papers that say it's a 50% chance that it's doesn't have a natural origin. It's like, dude, you're saying there's a 50% chance it's aliens. And then he gets confronted. You confront him over it, and he goes, no, I'm not saying that it's aliens. He's like, I never said that. It's like, yes, you did. And he knows what's going to happen when he does that. When he posts those papers and says that, he knows the New York Post and all these other people are going to come out and say, oh, Harvard astrophysicist says that this is an unnatural thing. He knows what he's doing. And I don't want to hear the bullshit either about like, oh, I don't have social media, so I can't correct them. Dude, he's going on like podcasts. He's going on news. He's going on like all these big shows, and he's getting asked questions about, and any one of them, he could be pouring water on this thing. He could be pouring cold water on it and turning down the temperature on all the speculation, but he doesn't. He feeds into it. And then he feeds into it even more. He goes recently like, ooh, we measured its weight, and now it's like 33 million tons. So what? So what, dude? That's not anomalous. He's like, there's no way it could possibly be this big. It must be a secret alien spaceship. Like, dude, I can't. I am going to hammer these people. Look, I'm an equal opportunity hater, chat. I'm an equal opportunity hater. I don't care if you're grifting on, assassination stuff. I don't care if you're grifting on space rocks. Whenever I see the grift, I'm going to call it out, chat. I'm going to call it out. So what's the explanation? What is the explanation? Here we go. Now that you've watched this, you guys should be able to make this post. You guys should be able to make this post now. Now that you watched, I literally explained to you how we're abusing the quantum uncertainty principle to produce negative energy, to produce a warp drive and a wormhole. Here you go. I'm just going to read it. We humans view the universe incorrectly. Avi and the other PhD physicists believe we are restricted by the speed of light. That's their flaw. If they renormalize the 0 point energy, this is why you hear the PhD physicists say there's nothing there. There's no 0 point energy to tap into. It's not there. There's nothing to get, right? Because they don't realize that it's fluctuating. They don't realize that we can abuse those fluctuations. If you believe that you are restricted by the speed of light, of course you're going to be thinking that space rocks can be an alien mothership, if you think that. But this has been proven wrong for decades. It's not even a new thing. Quantum entanglement has been proven for a very long time at this point. And quantum entanglement shows that this 0 point energy is not nothing. And so does the Ehrenhoff-Bohm effect and many of the other effects, like the Casimir effect, things that we've talked about. They all prove this. But you can think of it in terms of double slit experiment. Like, why is a double slit experiment so weird? Because a double slit experiment shows we live in an extra dimension that we don't perceive. Much like how a fish doesn't realize that it lives in water. A submarine moves by displacing the water. Now, I'm talking about conventional submarine. The secret Lockheed Martin submarines are probably using magnetohydrodynamics. Let's be real, okay? The secret Lockheed Martin submarines are probably manipulating space-time. And then they're kind of hidden underwater when they do that. But a conventional submarine just displaces the water. And that's how it moves. This is the same idea as displacing the 0 point energy to move in a warp drive or to produce a wormhole. When we churn up that ether, we can use that for propulsion. We can move by displacing the 0 point energy, aka the fabric of space-time, which is electromagnetic in nature. This has all been proven tonight. We can displace, we call this displacement a gravitational wave. So when we make this displacement, that's a gravitational wave we're making. We're making a gravitational wave because a gravitational wave is just a change. A gravitational wave is the change in the amount of gravity. If you change the amount of gravity, we are making a gravitational wave. Simple. And this can be used for propulsion in a warp drive or a wormhole. These concepts are not science fiction. These are not science fiction. This is the most important part. People think this stuff is science fiction. It is not. But the depiction of it in science fiction is incorrect. The depiction of it in science fiction where it's like in Deep Space Nine, where it's like the worm mouth opens up. It's like, and then we like fly through it and we're flying through this tunnel. Like that's all not real. But that doesn't mean a wormhole is not real. Wormhole, ER equals EPR, is 100% real physics, real science. And we think about a warp drive where it's like our warp drive is like they think about warp drive like they're being pulled really fast, but there's no inertia. So Star Trek warp drive is probably as close to real physics as you could get, but Star Trek wormholes are not. Okay. And then we personify aliens. When I say we personify aliens, we have this flaw as humans to assume that the aliens are like us. We assume they look like us. We assume they have they breathe the same air that we do. We assume they have the same technological backgrounds we do. We make all these assumptions about it, which is why I don't like the idea of aliens at all, because we always try to make aliens like us. We think they're having sex with us, like all this weird shit. That's weird stuff that's not based in reality, right? Aliens are going to be a lot weirder, a lot different, a lot more specifically, more advanced than we are. Much more advanced than we are. At least where we are now. Probably not more advanced than the people of us in the chat. But any civilization advanced enough to travel the stars understands the true nature of the universe. Why? The only way to travel the stars efficiently is gravitational manipulation. Nobody is ever traveling the stars on a slow space rock or in an Elon Musk SpaceX rocket. That shit's never happening. Never in a million years. That's just not how they do it. Right? That's why the 3i Atlas is not an alien craft. It's not even a probe. If and when aliens show up, they will appear instantly from seemingly nowhere. Now, why do I say that? This is why. This is John Kramer, experimental nuclear physicist. Experimental nuclear physicist, Black project engineer, author of one of the DIRDs on non-locality, ER equals EPR, and professor emeritus of physics at University of Washington. Here you go. My favorite clip from him by far.
I'm talking about reaching the stars by accelerating a wormhole to very high velocities and shooting them at the stars, and using relativistic time dilation to get there almost instantaneously.
So you fly through the wormhole?
You send the wormhole there, send momentum-bearing particles through it to steer it around to where you want it. You land it, and then you expand it and get out and explore the planet.
I see.
Wow. I mean, he's given the secret sauce right there, chat. I don't think he's speculating in that clip. He's a little too accurate to how it really works right there. He's saying we don't get in a craft. We don't get in a craft and fly to Andromeda Galaxy. You send your plasma orb, your anchor, to the destination. Send it to your destination and entangle it to where you're at. So we're here, right? We're here. We're chilling on Earth. We take our orb and we send it all the way over to the moon or to Mars or to the Andromeda Galaxy. We open it up. We abuse the entanglement and we do this. Now we went from here, instantaneous over here. And that's what he means when he says we abuse general relativity to essentially instantly appear, almost like instant transmission. So that from our perspective, it's just like walking through a doorway. We were over here. Now we're over here. Now, could there be a time dilation effect? Yes, there could be. If we do it correctly, though, we can essentially instantly transmit. We probably cannot go back in time, though. Yeah, relativistic time dilation. Thank you. That's why he says relativistic time dilation. What he means is that we can essentially instant transmission from one location to the next. We're not going to be able to go back in time, probably, not proven, but probably, but we can do instant transmission. And that means I can instantly transmit over here. And if I were to do it again, going back the other way, I can instantly transmit back to my origin. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool. Now, so last thing I want to take a look at. I haven't even listened to this yet, but the reason why I wanted to pull this up is because then I see this. Avi Loeb. Avi Loeb is everywhere, chat. Why is Avi Loeb connected to this whole UFO thing? Why is he talking to Congress people and what have you? Well, here they are with Tim Burchett, who I like, but I've lost some respect for recently. Because here's the reality, guys. I'm going to tell it to you how it is. Congress has no clue whatsoever. Congress has no idea. They don't understand physics at all. Even Eric Burleson, who's my favorite of them, they don't understand physics at all. Anna Paulina Luna has no clue. Tim Burchett has no clue at all. And they're listening to Avi Loeb, who also has no clue. Avi Loeb also has no clue. And this is why they're going, no, this is not possible. This isn't real. If they just watch this live stream, they'll totally understand what's going on. But they don't watch it. They do other nonsense. And they listen to people who are too busy grifting off space rocks, right? So here they are talking about the underwater bases moving around. Underwater bases. Let's listen.
You received intelligence that suggests that there are perhaps deep water alien bases right now sitting on the ocean floor on this planet. Is that accurate?
I would say that's pretty accurate.
Can you go into more detail? How long have they been here? Where are they?
Well, I'm extrapolating all this with my East Tennessee vernacular. So we've got five or six deep water areas of our oceans. We actually know more about the surface of the moon than we do about these areas. And these are areas where we have a high frequency of UFO or UAP sightings. We've had naval folks have told me pretty high up that they've actually tracked these things. Now, we have stuff that can go underwater probably 30 to 40 miles an hour, maybe something a little faster that the Chinese haven't stole from us yet. And we've tracked things big as a football field going 200 miles an hour. Now, I realize in the water, you extrapolate that to knots and all that, but just for good old East Tennessee common sense, 200 miles an hour, something the size of a football field. And we don't know what it is. And these are in these areas. So yeah, there's something going on there. And whether it's something that's been here for millennial or whatever, and I'm not afraid of it. I'm kind of like Dr. Loeb. I love to study this kind of stuff. It's the scientific material there he's the one that disclosed some things that were found that were extraterrestrial.
Okay. Yeah, chat. My sources also talked about underwater base. It was called the 4chan whistleblower. There was like two different 4chan whistleblowers. Is Tim Burchett just getting his info from 4chan? If you go back, guys, you can go back and watch the live streams. Go look up the live streams where we talked about underwater UFO bases. It was actually a really great live stream where we looked into this idea where there was this 4chan whistleblower who actually was, I don't want to say the word credible, but what they said was very accurate to how the physics really works. And the 4chan whistleblower also said there was underwater bases that were moving around that were producing UFOs to spec. Now, the more I learn about physics, the more I think it's all bullshit. But I still think it's kind of interesting to listen to. But one of the other claims that was made that I thought was very interesting was that there was a experimental Lockheed Martin submarine and another U.S. submarine. They went near one of these underwater bases, and the experimental submarine vanished. Straight up vanished. And the way they described it was that they have all these sensors, right? And all of a sudden, it's just not there anymore. It's just not there at all anymore. Now, we know how that would happen. It would be a wormhole. They would produce a wormhole, and that's how it would occur. So I think it's possible. Certainly it's possible there could be some underwater base or something like that, because the ocean, we don't know much about the ocean, right? But I find it very unlikely. I think that really what's happening is these people don't know anything about physics. These people don't know anything about physics. They don't understand physics. They don't understand plasma. They don't understand warp drives. Therefore, when they're like, oh, it went like 40 knots, it's going 200 knots. So what? So what? That's not special, man. That's not even that impressive. We've got plasma craft that are basically manipulating space-time, and they don't care if they're underwater or in the air. The medium doesn't matter to them because they're displacing the space-time. If they're displacing the 0-point energy, therefore, they can get whatever relativistic motion they want to get with no inertia, by the way, with no inertia. In fact, probably some of our submarines, our secret submarines that Trump was just talking about, I'll play the clip, though our own craft could be getting mistaken for UFOs and USOs, underwater submersible or unidentified submersible objects is what USO means. By the way, I will never use the term UAP ever again. Ever again. I haven't used the term basically ever because it's stupid and I hate how they try to reinvent words. I hate that shit. That's why I'm always going to call it cold fusion, cool fusion, UFO. Don't you try to do this word game crap with me. And I'm going to call it the ether too. We're going to call it the Ethernet. We're bringing everything that was old is going to be new again. We're going to make it cool again as well. So here's Trump literally talking about how we have submarines that can't be detected. That can't be detected at all. If we got submarines that can't be detected, we probably got submarines that can go 200 knots underwater as well. So this is the part where, again, I'm telling you, Congress has no clue whatsoever. They don't have any idea what's going on. They have no idea the weapon capabilities that we have, and they're in the dark about it. They're in the dark about it because of stuff like the PEDs, the Presidential Executive Action Documents or Emergency Action Documents. Those documents supersede Congress's ability to understand or know about any of this stuff. And basically what it means is that only the president and the high-ranking intelligence communities like the CIA, they're the only ones that get to know about our secret super weapons. Congress has no right to know whatsoever. And Congress knows they're in the dark. They know it. Like you'll see them say, like, it's not fair. We should know about this stuff. No, you shouldn't. I'm going to be clear. There's no way. I agree. Congress should not know about it. Congress is full of idiots. Some of the dumbest people on the planet are congressmen. I don't want any of them to know about this stuff. Because the moment that Congress knows about it, China's going to get it. Some of them are sold out. Hell, that one dude literally slept with a Chinese spy, Fang Fang. That Eric Swalwell was banging Fang Fang. You think I want him to know about our super secret fusion bomb tech? Hell no, bro. Hell no. Gatekeep this shit out of this in Congress. This is why I don't even support. Do I even support disclosure anymore? I don't think I even support disclosure anymore at this point. It's like, Jesus, man. Humans are too stupid for this. So here again is Trump talking about our submarines. Yeah, here it is.
But I announced that, based on his mention of nuclear, and it was really a stupid person that works for him mentioned the word nuclear, I moved a submarine or two, I won't say about the two, over to the coast of Russia, just to be careful, because we can't let people throw around that word. I call it the N-word. There are two N-words, and you can't use either of them. You can't use either of them. And
it's our word. That's our word.
If it does get to use, we have more than anybody else. We have better, we have newer, but it's something we don't ever want to even have to think about. But when somebody mentions it, that submarine started immediately thereafter. And it's just lurking, but I'm sure we're not going to have to use it. But it's an amazing, it's undetectable, totally. Ours is, theirs isn't. Theirs are totally detectable. We can detect them easily. We go right to the spot. But we have genius apparatus that doesn't allow detection. It doesn't allow detection at all by anybody above water or below water. It's incredible. We're way ahead of everybody in that and other things. As a result of the exciting renewal of the spirit of our armed forces, and that's what it is. It's really reaching that spirit, unprecedented heights over the past.
And other things, chat. Oh, and other things. Yes, exactly. Okay, that was your moment of zen, guys. Let's do some super chats. John Glock in the pill chat. Thank you, pill chat people, for being here. Says the ship, it can only do light speed, but this is the fastest ship I could charter to bring you the gold pills. Thank you very much for those gold pills. I appreciate you. I got to figure out how to get those gold pills. They're probably just building up in my pill chats. Awake Not Woke gifts the shades. Thank you very much, Awake Not Woke, and all you guys who have been following in the pill chat. I love you guys. And then John Glock gives a cookie as well. Nom nom, delicious cookie. Says Sal and Ashton are the new Fleischman and Pons, banned from the internet coming 2030. Yeah, if we go dark, if we end up going dark, chat, you'll know that something happened. Oh, by the way, because I like to tell as much info as I can tell, I'm like pretty positive that Sal got a talking to after our last podcast. So go ahead and check out the Salvatore Pais Hard Truths, the most recent one from a few weeks back. Pretty sure he got a talking to, because every time I text him now, I just get like a one-word answer. Like, cool. Just like, cool. And I'm like, oh shit, man. He probably got a talking to. They probably told him, like, dude, if you say anything else, we're gonna basically charge you for revealing national security stuff. So anyway, love you out there. If you're out there, Sal, I got your back. Anything happens, I got your back. If they throw you in prison, I'm gonna come. I'll be your cellmate. I'll come be your cellmate in prison. We'll do 0-point energy equations on the cell wall. I'll be there with you, bro, all day. Ride or die. I'm ride or dying with Salvatore Pais, baby. Ride or dying. Okay. Jai Beach, my new favorite science G. I'm forcing my best mate to watch right now. Thank you, Jai Beach. I've seen you in the Twitter and everything. Appreciate you very much. She will come around. Don't worry about forcing people, guys. Don't worry about forcing people to believe. This is why I'm kind of glad that we got rid of some of the people that are like kind of out there, because I feel like they push the wrong message. The message of this isn't like forcing people to understand it, forcing people to believe it, forcing people to watch. It just should be a message of like awakening people up, right? And you shouldn't start with about plasma orbs zapping the plane. Start with like the 0-point energy, right? Manipulating the ocean, the 0-point energy. Start with that. Keep it easy for people. Don't break people's minds right away. Also, I'm pretty worried this stuff is like literally shattering people's minds. For some reason, everybody I talk to, they seem to start going crazy, man. Like I talked to Candace Owens a year ago, and now she's gone completely nuts. She's gone completely nuts. Next thing she's doing is saying that Brigitte Macron has a dong, and she's going not just saying it, but she's going all in on it. When I say that like Mike Obama, whatever, I'm just joking around, right? People understand that. Next thing I know, Ian Carroll's going from GameStop to Make America Healthy to literally now just going all in on schizo Israel stuff. Like, geez, man, I think we're breaking people. I'm getting worried about it. So thank you very much for that donation, though. Mick Leonard, thank you very much. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for hanging out. Paul Gleason, following you for the past 2 or 3 years. It's only been 2 years and 1 month. Can you believe that? It's only been 2 years and 1 month. Some people are like, he's been doing this for years and years. And I'm like, it seems like it's been forever, but it's actually only been 2 years. It's still a really long time. It's still, and you think about how far we've come. Like, go watch some of my earliest stuff where I didn't know anything about science to what we just listened to today. It's not even comparable. It's crazy. So, yeah, thank you very much. The best Cabernet I've ever had. Delicious wines. You get to learn about yourself along the way and the technology. Yep. And I'm teaching you guys to be critical thinkers, teaching you to think for yourself, teaching you to be able to differentiate bullshit from reality, fake science from real science. It's not an easy process. It's really not. War Ranch LLC. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate that. Love you too, brother. And Paul Gleason as well says it's real and it's happening. Another War Ranch videos implicate Obama. They absolutely at least implicate Obama in knowing about it and knowing about it's not even really a cover up. They just didn't say anything. This is why a lot of people are like, Ashton believes the official story about MH370. There isn't one. There isn't an official story about MH370. The final report just says the plane disappeared. That's what the final official report says. The final official report doesn't blame the pilot. It just says plane's gone. That's it. So no, like they didn't even, when there's a real cover up, they just basically don't say anything. This is why when people are like, oh, they faked the text messages, they're faking all this evidence. That's not how it works. The government isn't some evil monolith where every person is like a dark entity that they control. It's made up of individuals. made up of individuals. That's why when they really cover something up, they have to just keep everybody silent, because anything that leaks out could eventually get used against them later on. Like, for example, the text messages that between Tyler Robinson and his furry lover that people think, oh, they faked those. There's no way they faked those text messages. Do you want to know why? Because if the FBI faked text messages between Tyler Robinson and his lover, his defense, the first thing his defense is going to do in the trial is they're going to prove that those text messages are fake, and he's going to get off. Literally, that's all it would take. If the text messages between Tyler Robinson and his lover are fake, that Tyler Robinson and his defense attorney will be able to prove that easily. They can just turn over the text records. They can just turn over the phone to the judge and show they don't exist. They can subpoena the cell phone, the cell ISP. And that alone, faking any evidence, would be an immediate dismissal of the case, regardless of anything else. Do people understand that? I feel like nobody understands how the law works. Okay, well, there you go. You guys, by the way, we are going to be covering the trial when it happens. We are definitely going to be covering the trial when it happens, when the real evidence comes out. And I'm going to literally hammer every single one of the schizos and their conspiracy garbage, because the evidence will come out, and I'm just going to be hammering them. And the reason why I went so hard on them, the reason why I don't care about how many followers I lost, is because these people are going to be filling out apology forms later on. I have a bunch of the losers like Clint Russell. I've got his posts. The rest of the high-profile schizos, I've got screenshots of what they were saying, and I am going to hammer them during the trial so that they can't come back and go, but I was just like, the story didn't make sense, and I was just asking questions. No, I told you you were wrong, and you refused to listen. I told you over and over you were wrong, and you refused to listen to reality. So get ready for it. Get ready. Whoa, super big. Oh, it's Pippi Universe again. Thank you very much for that other huge donation. Appreciate you. What do you think about what the China government said about their nuclear capability? Oh, we forgot to show that. Okay, because you put this huge donation in here, I actually posted about this right before the live stream. So let's take a look at this as well. Here it is. Damn, what is it? Man, my posts have been going pretty crazy too recently. Okay, here you go. China warns the United States.
China's policy is very clear. China will not fire the first shot, but China will not allow you to fire the second shot. China will never allow the United States to launch a war against China, conventional or nuclear, without suffering devastating consequences. If you have not watched the Victory Day parade in Beijing on September the 3rd, one of the weapons China demonstrated, we call it 61, because it can contain 60 nuclear warheads plus one hydrogen bomb. Now, in the world of today, let me tell you, which country has hydrogen bomb? China is the only country with hydrogen bomb. And that ICBM can cover every corner of the world in less than 20 minutes and destroy any target in any corner of the world without any possibility of being intercepted. I hope Washington has learned the lesson. If you want to have war, you will get war. If you want to destroy China, you will be destroyed. If you want to impose nuclear war on China, you will be wiped out by nuclear war. This is very serious.
Bitch, do you just say the N-word? Your shitty nukes do not be threatening us. How dare you? How dare you, China? Okay, let me just lay down some facts here. Don't you dare tell us the United States was about to happen. You are not the only ones with a hydrogen bomb. We figured out the hydrogen bomb in the 1960s. We figured out the hydrogen bomb over 60 years ago. Okay? Your little hydrogen bombs? Remember MH370, China. There won't be a second shot. If we take the first shot, it's going to be a hole-in-one. It's going to be a hole-in-one, game over, GG, no re. You think you're going to get a second shot? Oh, wow. So naive. So naive. No. The first shot will end everything immediately. And then we can go, oh, but we have missile places everywhere, all over the place. You think we're worried about a missile getting to us in 20 minutes? We're going to literally warp a nuke into Beijing. We're going to warp a nuke onto Beijing. It's going to appear out of nowhere and flatten the whole city, killing millions, if not billions of people. Every single one of your missile silos will all be destroyed simultaneously. Every airplane in the sky will disappear out of the sky and it'll be on the moon. These people don't realize the kind of atrocities the CIA can pull off. Like, you're not on our level, China. You're not on our level, so don't pretend like you are. Don't pretend like you are. And I don't want to hear you saying the N-word anymore. That's not your word to say. Neither N-word is your word to say. By the way, Chinese people are really racist, by the way. It's just very racist. When I lived in Singapore, they would just say the N-word like all the time. Like, it wasn't offensive at all. I'm like, dude, you're not supposed to say that. Neither of the N-words. Let's be clear. You don't get to say either of the N-words, okay? There you go. So hopefully you got your response. Thank you very much for that super chat, Pippi. Tom, please tell me you don't believe the official story. I mean, which story are we supposed to believe exactly? I mean, there's literally 3 different conspiracy theories that are mutually exclusive. We're supposed to believe that either they're holographic airplanes, or we believe that a directed energy weapon was used, or we believe that somebody planted, that like a whole team went through a 100-story building and planted thermite all throughout it for a controlled detonation. Which one of these am I supposed to believe exactly? Because I don't really find any of them to be credible. The simple answer for me is I literally watched on video that morning, within minutes if it happened, if not real time, the Boeing 757s flying into the building. I mean, I'll just be real. To me, it's not that unbelievable that literally planes crashed into the building, caused structural integrity, and caused it to collapse. So the one that I find the more compelling is, well, why did Building 7 fall down? Why did a random building that wasn't even hit, why did that one fall down? So I don't know. And then sure, there are inconsistencies like finding a passport that is perfectly preserved or whatever, but there you go. So I don't know. You pick your favorite conspiracy theory, guys. And by the way, this isn't new. I've said this on live streams before. I told you guys I don't really believe in any of the conspiracies that are out there. Most of them. I find most of them to be a lot of like people inventing things, like doing the same thing where there's an inconsistency, therefore it means the Jews did it, right? Like, that's pretty much how these things all boil down. So you tell me what your story is, and I'll poke holes in your story, and we can play that game. So, but thank you very much for that donation. I appreciate it. And then Tom MC is, how hard is it to tap into the field? Like, can an average person do this? Yes. So when you see people making like magnetic motors, for example, they're doing this. They're churning up the ether. Why do you think the magnetic motors also require on resonance? Resonance is important because it's the same concept. It's just a different application. A magnetic motor is churning up the ether, but it's just not doing it to a significant amount. Even Chance Glenn was showing that we can produce gravitational waves, but his apparatus is far too weak and his detection mechanism not nearly sensitive enough. You have to keep in mind, we need like huge energy levels, That's why they're using plasma balls that can amplify energy. That's why it's a literal thermonuclear weapon. You can't just pull this off with a little firecracker. You might be able to produce a tiny bit of energy, which is what a magnetic motor is doing, or a free energy microchip. But if you want to actually like warp space-time to a degree where you're teleporting a macro-sized object, you got to get really high energy levels. So that's the answer for like, why aren't average people doing this? Well, people were in the 70s. They were building 70s and 80s. They were building free energy, mostly magnetic motors. But that's obsolete stuff. And compared to like a neutronic thermonuclear bomb, it's not even a firecracker. It doesn't even register on the scale, right? And if you try to do this, like again, if you try to pull lithium, when you see these kids who are making fusion reactors at home, this is why the feds are showing up. Because you're getting closer and closer to the figuring out that we can actually manipulate space-time. Many of the kids aren't even considering that. They don't even know what they're doing. They're just like, hey, I'm going to make a fusion reactor. It seems cool. They don't know why or why it's significant. So keep that in mind as well. It's fun. It's fun watching ask, what am I squirming? If you think I'm squirming, bro, you are obviously living in a different reality. You think there's squirming happening here? Not even close, brother. Timothy Foster, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Looking forward to your deputy employment with Dan Bongino. Dude, I would definitely join the FBI. I will join the CIA or FBI. You'll know when I've joined the CIA because I'm going to gaslight the shit out of you people. I'm going to gaslight people. I'm going to make these people, I'm going to make the debunkers go crazy. I'm going to just, I would be such a good CIA agent. I've learned from the best. I've learned from Tucker Carlson, who is currently S-tier gaslighter. Like, what do you mean that I was saying that the Jews are trying to get AI to be a demonic thing? He didn't really say that, but he's S-tier gaslighter, chat. But I will surpass him. I will be the greatest gaslighter of all time. I will be the greatest gaslighter. Thank you very much again, Timothy Foster. Kent, there's more. The super chat's growing here. What's going on here? Hi, Ashton. I work at a swimming pool in Queenstown, New Zealand. Kim.com comes every day with his physio. Great. Oh, does he? Kim.com has disappeared from the internet, by the way. He hates me with a passion. I'm pretty sure he's an asset of the U.S. government. Personally, don't care either way. Don't harass him. Don't harass him. Honestly, I hope he gets better. I really do hope he gets better from his karma that he received with his stroke. Nothing necessarily against him, but actually, that's true. Not true. I don't like him. I don't like him at all. But I don't wish ill on him. Matt Bartleson, you're the bomb. Matt Bartleson, it's nice to meet you in person. Government shutdown equals less bots in the chat. Probably. It wouldn't surprise me if one or two of the debunkers are actually counter intel, but most of them are just, they're the same kind of thing as the schizo conspiracy people, but they're just kind of on the other end. It's like horseshoe theory, right? They're like, oh, we have to look for the holes in the plot. And this means somehow that it was normal. Just a pilot that did this. Pilot did it and flew into the South Indian Ocean. You're like, what's the evidence for that? There's literally no evidence that supports that. And same exact things, right? Same arguments. Zapparoo, don't forget Freibart Winterberg for your starstruck list. Yeah, I won't. Freibart Winterberg, man. Rest in peace, brother. Rest in peace. I'll see you in my spirit dreams, Freibart Winterberg. AstroQuant, Byfield Brown effect. Yeah, Byfield Brown effect. Byfield Brown effect shows asymmetrical capacitors can produce lift for sure. Again, electromagnetism. Electromagnetism is key. Catman, thank you very much for that donation. Truth will first be ridiculed. Then it will be violently opposed. Then slowly accepted as self-evident by the general consensus. Yes, this is the process of digesting information, right? And this is what will happen in the end. And this is why I say, as I say, guys, don't you dare try to worship me. Don't you dare in the future try to worship me. I'm building that up right now. I don't want people building weird monoliths, guys. Don't make me play the clip. I'm going to have to play the clip. Are you my grandpa? Oh, crap. I have so many Rick and Mortys. Where is it? I think it's this one. Let's try this one.
About what you guys keep thinking I'm a religious leader. This isn't a religion. This is actual truth. I'm a scientist in real life, but this isn't real life. This is a video game. You at least understand that much, right? This is a video game. But you said I'm your grandson. I'm saying everyone here, everyone in this world but me. You're all my grandson. Your name is Morty. You're stuck in a video game, and I'm here to get you out. What about me? Am I your grandson? I just said everyone is. Wow, incredible. Okay, but don't react like that. It's not a religion. This is what is happening. You and me and your sister are all the non-player character. You die. Okay, question over here. Am I your grandson? Jesus, yes, every single one.
Am I your grandson? Guys, this is not a religion. And okay, one more. This is the last question, last super chat when we're done. I know we're going late here. John Glock says, have you reviewed Judy Wood's analysis? Not really, guys. I have not reviewed the 9/11 stuff. I actually have a Rick and Morty clip for that queued up as well that I think about. Every time somebody asks me about 9/11, this is what I think about.
What are you just staring at me for, bro? I turned myself into a pickle, Morty. And? What more do you want tacked onto this? I turned myself into a pickle and 9/11 was an inside job? Was it? Who cares, Morty? Global acts of terrorism happen every day.
Who cares about 9/11? Global acts of terrorism happen every day. What difference does it make whether or not it was an inside job or not? Get over it, guys. Let's focus our energy on something more important, something that matters in this world. Guys, MH370X, I love you guys. I'll throw a Discord invite in the final chat here for you guys. Have a great night. Peace out, everyone. Love you. Let's go make some wormholes. Later.
In the
fields where the skies are wide. Talking about a journey through the cosmic ride. Einstein and Thorne, they set the stage for a trip through time across the space age. Wormholes connect distant points in space. Traversable paths to a far-off place. No black holes pull, no crushing weight. Just a cosmic tunnel to a distant gate.
Talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy. Travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow. We're talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy. Travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow.
Exotic matter, negative energy's the key to stabilize the wormhole for you and me. Quantum vacuum squeezed so tight, creating conditions for this wondrous flight. Static fields and lasers in the lab they play, generating forces in a new kind of way. Gravitational squeezing, Casimir's force, negative zones we need to stay the course.
Talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy. Travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Bowling 777 through a wormhole flow.
Thin shell formalism plates so fine. Spherical geometry we realign. Energy conditions that we must defy. For a stable wormhole, let's give it a try. Forces balancing the plate, creating the throat, open the gates, from Earth to the stars in a single bound, a shortcut through space profound. Engineers and dreamers hold the key to future worlds and what we could be. With science in hand, we forge ahead through the cosmic paths that we now tread.
We're talking wormholes, stargates, negative energy. Travel through the cosmos, it's our destiny. MH370, where did it go? Boeing 777 through a wormhole flow.
From the fields to the stars, we break the chains. Understanding the universe, we make the gains. Lil Hula Crunk shines, bringing truth to light. Through his music, we'll explore the night. With wormholes and stargates,